Well, nice start for Gambit youngsters. Inter's coming into the round with 3 kills. He's not normally one of the standout performers for Gambit youngsters, but good to see him getting some kills on the board early, especially with that first shot landing from Rush. You'd think that Complexity could maybe just play for retake, maybe just sit back and get some further frags, but Gambit youngsters were so safe and not peeking the bomb. They were so sure that Rush wasn't going to stick that defuse. They just buy themselves a bunch of time, and they end up coming away with the first round win. They still need to be careful, though. They still need to be a little bit scared of this second round force-up. Complexity are a team stacked with skill, so you can't take this round win for granted. And Rush with the MP9, playing off the back of this smoke, making life difficult, but Supra picks up the opening kill, and this A site, again, looking good for Gambit youngsters.
I think that may well have just given them what they need. It becomes a much more difficult round when you lose control of the site and the plant comes in, although still not planting yet. These smokes have dissipated away and the Molotov's gone down, gives a bit more room across, a bit more deagle damage coming in. Actually a frag for Oboe there, and they aren't afraid to rotate here on the CT side of things. Of course not. 2 quick kills coming in. It's not looking good at all. Supra and Axile to pick up the pieces, and they'll do their best bringing it back into an even situation, but still going to be tough. Bomb plant coming in, and they use the information they have available to them, moving towards CT here. So relatively smart stuff, and no kit available for the CT side. So might just have recovered it.
Still not secure, though. Up close and personal. Poison's got the scout out. That's not the weapon you want in that fight, especially when you're looking the wrong way. Axel gets an easy kill. And again, Blame F in a similar position. Could think about saving. He's going to go towards the site itself, but without the kit, the round win was always unlikely. Supra gets him with the Mac 10. It comes a little close for comfort, but Gambit youngsters hold it down. They get their second round win. And this time out, Complexity are going to have to take a much weaker buy. So this is a good start for Gambit youngsters. This is what we wanted to see.
Yeah, definitely, like you say, comes a little close, but I'm sure they're happy to string a couple together this early on and keep it rolling. They should get a third on the board pretty easily here, but we'll see. Got to check your angles. Got to be careful. Rush jumps the gun a bit early. Will get taken down. Inters, though, entry fragging relatively cleanly. Config still got the deagle in hand. Only good for 1. So, again, damage control coming in, but that's a dangerous headshot. Axile goes down. Inters is low. And with 2 deagles remaining, oh goodness, you still worry for Gambit youngsters. Smoke gonna come in towards Connector. Oboe tries to get aggressive ahead of it, not gonna happen. Nafany takes him down, all onto Blame F. Does have the armor available. Really good stuff here though. Smoke at Connector, Molly at Jungle. Using the information they have available to them. And Blame F is kind of locked out once again. He does have fully fresh head armor, so I'm not sure if he wants to maybe hold on to that, make his buy into the next round a little easier. Does seem, though, just going to hang around. I don't think he's really going for it, just looking for exits ultimately. And there you go. Picks up Inters, but Nafany trades him back. Another kind of close round, it has to be said, for Gambit youngsters, but 3 on the board early.
Yeah, 3 on the board early, and also 3 on the board all on the A bomb site, which is something that could play into the mind games later on. It's been a bunch of early A plays, and Shiro is one of the few players who's still using the SG. This man loves a good scope. If he can't afford the AWP, he'll go for the Kree. That's what he's picked up into this round. We'll see if he can make the most of it as a double AWP setup comes out for Complexity. Config using his AWP at mid. Poison's got 1 over on the A bomb site. And Gambit youngsters, again, it looks like they've gone back to their slow style of play. This is generally what they do in these early gun rounds. They like to keep it pretty slow, keep it pretty patient. And we're not going to get much early action here, Scriv.
Hoping to just catch off. Bit of a slow push, maybe. 1 smoke over the top. Second to follow. Molotovs as well, but they're not really committing to it. The CT side really are not biting either, with no actual human presence, just the presence of utility. There's not much reason to rotate people across or to, you know, return the counter utility even. It looks like they're going to move back towards the B side of things, moving up short. Deep smokes coming in. Config on the secondary AWP going to get taken down there, and now into a 5-on-4 early.
They are testing Obo. The inexperienced player on the B-bomb site only gets a 1-for-1 trade. Oh, Shiro just holds the angle with the AWP he's recovered. BlameF unable to rotate into the site in time. And the safe and patient play from Gambit youngsters works out for them. I think Config got caught in an awkward spot there where he seemed to be moving. He didn't seem to be too well established on that position, so he loses out early. And then Obo is in a spot where he can really only get a 1-for-1 trade. There's not many more opportunities available for him because he's getting pushed from both the apartments and short. It's so many positions he has to try and deal with. So Obo does what he can. But at that point, because Gambit youngsters are onto the B-bomb site, they can just cut off the rotations, go ahead and win this round. And this is a really good sign early from Gambit youngsters. I think they're making good calls. They're not getting over hungry for kills. They're keeping in control of these situations. This definitely looks like a solid start for them. 4-0 lead for Gambit youngsters. I want to see how Gambit youngsters do when it starts getting tough for them, though, because it's been a slow start for Complexity, but once Complexity start winning rounds, that's when the pressure will really start to build on this young Gambit youngsters team. But so far, so good for them.
Pretty good indeed. See if they can keep it up. Complexity still going to keep the pressure on in this round with the weapons that they have available here. The pistols also, you know, nothing to shake a stick at, so they've got to be careful here on the Gambit youngster side of things. And again, not get too ahead of themselves. 4 in a row, it's pretty good, but have to maintain it, not get too giddy. Start overlooking simple mistakes. But here we go. Stacked outside of B. Utility to come on through, playing contact over close with the CZ, though, able to get 2. That's massive damage. BlameF around, as is Config, but Inters is trying to pull them through with this round. However, like I say, BlameF, the third man, they weren't really expecting it. Flash comes in for him, he gets aggressive. What is that? He's just dropped his MP9. What are you doing, BlameF? Timing not quite there. Little bit awkward. It's still back into a 1 versus 1. However, Shiro against Rush. He swaps across to the AK, has not spotted him out, and gets caught jumping up to the van. Unfortunate timing in a lot of places there in that round, but it's Complexity to get it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, good timing on that peek from Obo. Config was drawing all the attention on short. Those first 2 kills just set them off on the right foot early. And even though BlameF kind of gave away his opportunity to make a big play, the rest of the team rotate over and recover it. Rush wins that 1v1 against Shiro. Shiro there not aware of the fact that he could already be on the other side of things. And now Gambit youngsters don't have the best buy here. Shiro's got an AWP, but there are a couple of players with limited weaponry. Good flashes from Gambit youngsters to force Complexity away from mid. A bit of ground gained early by the CIS side. That was the first time Gambit youngsters really went for a fast play, that previous round on B. It didn't pay off for them, so they go back to their slow style, which was working pretty well for them up until that point. Obo's playing the same position again, which I assume Gambit youngsters will be aware of. And it looks like Gambit youngsters, now that we've got into the gun rounds, are trying to see if they can exploit this B-bomb site. They're setting up another B split.
Yeah, well, I think sometimes Obo has some pretty incredible anchor games on that B-bomb site. They've definitely been doing their homework, I suppose. The rotation coming in from BlameF, however, but there you go. Obo swings out, gets taken down. BlameF to try and hold them off, but not going to happen. So much damage dealt onto Axile and onto Super as well, I believe. But unfortunately, the kill's just not coming through for the CT side here. Poison peeks across, and Shiro, of course, waiting for him. And Gambit youngsters straight back on the board. Rush trying to look to save. Does get tagged up. I think might have been trying to hunt the AWP down there. Not going to happen. By the looks of things, they might even track him down here on the T side. So, 5th on the board for sure. Looking to get it flawlessly as well. Keep everyone alive and eliminate the entire enemy team. Would be pretty big. Ooh, Rush might just have missed his moment. He does indeed. Super gets him. Not a single kill for Complexity. This is really good stuff to watch.
Yeah, and I wonder if Complexity will start to get a bit frustrated and a bit flustered by the way this game's going so far. Because I think with the way Gambit youngsters are playing especially, it's largely come down to one-on-one fights a lot of the time. And that's how Gambit youngsters play. They're not going to use crazy utility. They're not going to really go for insane executes. They're just mostly going to rely on their skill and rely on their ability to trade. And Complexity will feel like that should be playing into their advantage. Complexity will probably feel like they should be the ones winning almost all these 1v1 fights, or at least the majority of them. But so far, they've just been a bit slow at the start of this game. Perhaps the pistols can make the difference, though. Rush gets a double kill. At least Intez is able to pick up the belated trade, but it's not the start that Gambit youngsters were looking for, that's for sure.
Axile's getting caught in middle here as well. Does manage to escape, but will he live? There's a lot of places to watch right now. A lot of action going down all across the map. Shiro playing contact. Here's the player at stairs. Takes out the player in connector as well. Beautiful strike from Inters coming in to help him. And Axile holding down the flank. Brilliant stuff here from Gambit youngsters. Obo in a 1 versus 3. He's got his trusty CZ in hand, and he patiently waits for Shiro to make a mistake. Gets the AWP up as well. Gotta be careful here. Inters does have the bomb available. The gap beginning to close, and does so much damage. Shot missed by Obo, though he wasn't ready for Axile. And Gambit youngsters get the 6th on the board. All these rounds coming close, but Gambit youngsters early on are getting a solid foot in the door.
Yeah, Rush here on the A site did well to start the round. Got them into a position where they could maybe do something, but it doesn't lead to anything. I was about to say, I'm trying to remember the last time I saw Obo with an AWP in his hands. And I've just checked, and in the last 3 months, he's got a total of 5 kills with the AWP, compared to 550 with the AK. So clearly not an AWPer, as we saw by that missed shot. But here comes a buy for Complexity. AWP in the hands of Poison, and an A play being set up from Gambit youngsters, going for this fast-paced play, but Config's here to stop them. 2 nice kills on the hold, and Rush is here ready, but Axile wins that fight. Great headshot from him, and Gambit youngsters get even trades on that.
Moved away on the B-bomb site here, looking to help the hold. Oh, there it is. Blame F holding a tight angle and gets the wallbang headshot in as well. So, not looking too good for Gambit youngsters. Inter's left on low HP. Kind of slowly rotating back here. Being locked out a little bit. I suppose they have time to work with, but very unsure of themselves and very unsure of whether there's a flank coming in. Not making any noise at all. The old Bogdan's Law in full effect. Inters will be on the AWP. And I mean, they do have a chance at this, Hawker, I think. If they successfully trade or even just take down the isolated player, I guess on B it looks like they're going to. This is definitely very doable.
19 seconds left for them, though. They've got to make this fast, and they don't have many nades to work with. They have to start making noise, and that gives Blame S such an advantage here on the hold. He can just sit back, and I don't think they can clear bench in time. 5 seconds left. They've got to go for the plant. They've got to go for it. They're just about going to get it, but Blame F, waiting in the wings, will win the round. Both kills in quick succession. Intez there, I think, died just before the time expired, so I think he at least got the money. It was hard to tell, honestly, because the kills came so quickly. But Complexity get their second round win on the board. Good kills at the start of the round from Config. And then Blame F just plays the patience game. Gets 2 players unsuspecting. Gets the round win. And Complexity starting to look a little better now. Starting to warm up into this game. And it's an early timeout here for Gambit youngsters. Maybe talking about what they want to invest into this round, because their money is a bit all over the place.
Definitely throwing for a loop. But this is somewhat what we were talking about in the pregame, right? That Complexity underestimating their opponents. Not ready for the fact that they could, you know, indeed fire back and hit some pretty nasty shots of their own. And relatively well-played fundamentals, I think, so far. It is kind of when it gets to this point, right? Where Complexity seem to have a bit of a read. Fighting fire with fire. I guess it is another aggressive round from Gambit youngsters. It doesn't really work out for them. At least at its core. And this is where Gambit youngsters need to now try and bounce back and change things up a little bit. So they have opted to go for I suppose you call it a force buy, right? But there's two players here who've got a full buy, so it's a little bit of a peculiar round to see. Meanwhile, Supra's on a deagle. I think he may well have dropped an AK across. But all the same, bit of a strange time. Complexity, you can just see like a lot more respect coming in, not leaving Obo on the B-bomb site by himself. They've very quickly changed that up. And they're not playing super aggressive, not getting into the face.
Yeah, I think if Gambit youngsters keep playing like this, Complexity will start to figure it out slowly but surely. This slow playstyle where they're putting no pressure on the map means that Complexity can hold these nades if they want to. Right now, they've been dumping their nades early, but Gambit youngsters, if they keep playing like this, Complexity will probably adapt eventually. Right now, though, it is the man advantage, picked up by Poison, and BlameF has got to be careful. That smoke's fading, and he gets the first and the second kill. Shiro finally finds the refrag. It's back to a 1v3, because Obo's got that kill over at B. And it's this man, Shiro, who could try and win this, but with 20 seconds on the clock, doesn't look like he's liking his chances. He's going to go for the save. This is going to leave their money in a weird spot, though, on the Gambit side.
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of a strange round, honestly. They're very split, I think. Two going B, maybe either two connector trying to... Well, the three in total, I guess. Trying to catch rotations, but just not a big enough cell, unfortunately. I like the idea of sitting in the smoke and everything, but yeah, it just, the way that it was shaped in the connector, the edges obviously dissipate a lot faster than the center. A bit unfortunate in that sense. Another force buy coming in though, because they kind of have to, right, with the way that Shiro's economy was sat after saving the AWP here, and of course the fact that they just don't really have an awful lot of money available. So Complexity have got a really good chance of closing the gap for sure. I think these are the types of rounds, I say that, and these are the types of rounds I feel Complexity should be able to clean up nice and easy, but missed shots coming in. Poison getting tagged up pretty low there as well. BlameF waiting nice and patiently. He will be rewarded indeed for his patience. But still potential here for Gambit youngsters to take a few names.
Now let's see what they can do. Oh, BlameF drops a nade into the connector. He saw the player sit there in the previous round, so decides to just drop a little nade, see what he can do. Gets a second kill on the round. Complexity controlling this round, staying comfortable right now. 45 seconds left for Gambit youngsters, and the big problem here is they just have no nades whatsoever. So if they go into this A-bomb site, Poison's AWP is about to rotate over to CT spawn. This is going to be a very difficult angle for them to deal with. Unless they land an insane shot, Poison should get some pretty easy kills here.
I just need to be careful, and obviously timing always coming into it. He's going to move away. That's going to give them the opportunity to move out, but he's pretty quick with it. He's going to find one, misses the shot on the second, taking the reface assist. Does need to be a little careful. Rush, though, from Palace is that second line of defense. Nice shot coming in from Axile, but should be all she wrote. He's got no time. He's got no head. And Complexity will get their fourth on the board pretty cleanly as well. I suppose they deny the secondary AWP, so there is that.
Slow play style starting to work against Gambit youngsters now. Part of the problem is obviously the fact they don't have the full buys on the board anyway. But these slow rounds are allowing Complexity to be much more comfortable, I think. Complexity are pretty happy out how exactly they're going to play, and then you start to get the reads on them. And I mean, the Glock's going out mid is ambitious to say the least.
Yeah, a little bit, but honestly, on the point that you're making, I don't really mean this in an offensive way to either team. I feel like Complexity won't have done an awful lot of prep for Gambit youngsters, right? They probably look at them, maybe look at the maps that they like to play and decide on a bit of a veto. And then that's about as far as it'll go, because obviously fairly involved in the bigger teams and the bigger tournaments and whatnot. So I think that might have a part of it. But Gambit youngsters early on, don't get me wrong, still look pretty good. And there were some close rounds in there, right? Against the pistols and whatnot. They were able to bounce back after they lost a round. But definitely a really, really good opener from Gambit youngsters. But kind of what we were touching on, that they would struggle to get back into this game once Complexity get a read on them. We'll see here, 5-on-4. BlameF with the early aggression, able to drop back as well. Nice find from Supra, though, sneaking his way in and around the smoke. Rush kind of letting them walk out, and that's a bit of a blunder, perhaps, in terms of the information, but he does eventually go down, and Nafany also going to fall. Axile, meanwhile, is over on B, and it's actually completely open. The bomb pretty quickly behind him here, so this could get interesting. Peeks out, takes out Obo. He does take a dink for his trouble, however, so still going to be hard in the 3-on-2, but the bomb plant, at the very least, is an achievement. Shiro on the AWP, anything is possible.
Those two big hitters left alive for Gambit youngsters, the two players who have been in form in this tournament, Shiro and Axile, looking to save their team in this round. 2v3 now, but Shiro's caught. It's Axile on 13 health. One straight bullet almost lands. He somehow gets away safely, but the bomb is planted in a position where he's got to go into the open, and that's not going to be favored for him. Config finds the fight. Gambit youngsters sell the fake, but those trades on A unfortunately weren't good enough. Leaving it in a 2v4 isn't going to be a winnable position most of the time. And BlameF, again, is just so good at always putting up numbers. He always quietly just gets his way to the top of the scoreboard. He's had some plays here throughout this game. 14 for 8 right now. BlameF is just such a hard-working guy. I think he's a great pickup to have for this Complexity team. He's trying to lead them to victory right now, and they're looking much better on the Complexity side. After a strong start from Gambit youngsters, Complexity brought it back to an even scoreline. Gambit youngsters will go for another bye in this round.
Definitely a big point that you make, though, right? Not the flashiest, but he is the most consistent on this team, it seems. Nice position here as well. He loves doing this, right? Getting into these aggressive angles and just finding easy spray downs. Will eventually fall, but he picked up 2 in the round. He's done his work. And now he can command the troops from the grave. Poison will find the trade nice and quick, so into a 4 versus 2 here in favor of Complexity. They have definitely found their groove and just catching Gambit youngsters off guard time after time. Obo, speak of the devil and he shall appear, honestly. Catching them completely off guard with that angle. Double spray down. Nice and easy stuff. Even just spinning around here, he's like, excuse me, I want to leave. Can you stop shooting me?
I think that turnaround may have been to try and play anti-flash, because almost every team at the top level, I think, would probably throw a flash there. But Gambit youngsters just play a bit differently. They just don't use nades as often, which is weird. They just kind of push as a pack. But yeah, he tries to turn around, ends up getting the kill anyway. Oof, wow, nice shot from Axile. This time a flashbang is deployed to mid. Config gets blinded. Axile gets the opening kill. Axile, though, not going to be doing anything else in this round. Complexity reply with a flash peek of their own. And over on the A side of the map, Rush needs to be a little bit careful. 2 different angles to deal with, but he gets the first man. And Inters will also be denied access to the A site. Good hold from Rush, doing what he has to on the A bomb site. Now Gambit youngsters will test their luck on B.
Obo loving that angle. This time not going to play it as committed, so going to drop back. Here's some coming from floors. They move out together to peek short, to be fair, but unfortunately he ain't short. And another double coming in for Obo. 8-6 then. Complexity definitely turning it around, but I will not lie to you, starting on their CT side, I did not expect it to be this close of a half. I thought it would be a real tough time for Gambit youngsters. They might pick up a few rounds here and there. So stringing 4 together straight off the bat, pretty nice. Pretty nice indeed.
Where's Config gone? He's not on the server, that's for sure. Looks like a technical issue for Complexity, which we will look to get sorted. Yeah, Complexity here, it feels like a really taking over this game now. That's what, 6, 7 rounds in a row? Yeah, 7 rounds in a row. None of them have really felt that close. The closest I think Gambit youngsters had come was that plant on the B site where they were in that 2v4. But even that round, Complexity were always in control of the situation. And that has continued as this half has gone on. 8-6 lead for them. I think one of the issues for Gambit youngsters as well is that Shiro is meant to be the superstar player for this team. He's meant to be the standout man, but he normally plays pretty passively, actually. He's kind of akin to a Blame F in that sense, where he plays a passive play style with the AWP. And that means that if his teammates are just going to lose the trades earlier, he's going to be left in really, really difficult positions where he probably can't win the round. And so far, Shiro hasn't been as involved as you'd probably want if you're a Gambit Youngsters fan. He's only got 7 kills and 10 deaths. His ult hasn't really been too impactful throughout this game. Some of the other riflers have been stepping up, but as this game has gone on, we're starting to see the class of complexity shine through.
Yeah, ultimately. To quote an incredibly famous football commentator, not that I really follow football, but I don't know why this one just sticks with me. Form is temporary, class is forever. For any football fans, I can't remember his name, but I don't know, I just remember the quote.
I remember that quote as well, and I have no clue who it's from. It's a good line, though.
Yeah. Either way, hopefully should be getting back into the action nice and quick here. I believe they're all together, so I would have thought it's just a solo issue. No kind of internet or anything drastic. Maybe FPS, you know, there's been a good number of issues with FPS for a lot of players on CS recently. That seems to be quite a common one, unfortunately. And quite important, you know, when timing and reactions and whatnot are the name of the game.
Something I mentioned the other day, Scriv, is that for some reason, I think, was I casting with you when I said this? I don't remember. But Gambit youngsters are still called Gambit youngsters, even though Gambit don't have a main team.
Yeah, I know. I don't think it was with me, but I'm pretty sure we've talked about, you know, we casted this team quite a bit together. I like
to imagine this team just like sticking around for the next 10 years and being 30 years old and still being called Gambit youngsters.
Yeah, it is a bit strange. It is a bit strange.
I think I remember.
Maybe they like sticking with it though. I don't know.
Yeah. I was casting with. I think it was Dinko who said that. I think they were sticking with it because they kind of just like the branding and like the fact that it kind of, you know, makes it seem like an up and coming team, which it is.
Yeah, and then they have like their own history, their own legacy kind of thing, rather than in the footsteps of the previous Gambit team. Here we go though, straight back into the action. Blame F. His aggression this time around is checked. Inters will get the first frag quite easily as well. No damage taken at all for Gambit youngsters.
Solid start to the round for them. Blame F's been getting away with that previously. But like you said, the adaptation comes in for Gambit youngsters. A couple of players go to clear that. Rush has pushed into a ramp though, so Complexity continue with the aggression. Again, you can really see the comfort for Complexity coming through now. I think they realize that these plays can work, but Rush caught in an awkward position. He couldn't spot the feet in time. Gambit youngsters get 2 clean kills at the start of this round. And now at this point, Complexity looking a little desperate, trying to make some solo plays. Obo was thinking of pushing top mid, but Supra should have heard those steps. I think Obo made some noise moving back, but the timing just about keeps Obo alive, at least for now.
Just about. Definitely a doable round here for Gambit youngsters though. Config has gotten aggressive into Palace, and I think he's about to meet a gang of attackers. Give it just a second. They'll start moving around this corner, and very slowly indeed he's going to keep pushing forwards as well, and it will be his downfall. I guess you kind of have to be the hero in a situation like that. Super will get the final 2 kills though of the half. An 8-7, as close as it could possibly be here. Really, really good stuff from Gambit youngsters, I have to say. See how their CT side holds up, however. I think when they're dictating the pace of things a little more, they do like to, you know, play it slow. Also, Inters and Axile doing an awful lot of the work. It's become a lot harder on your CT side if you don't have everybody chiming in on all cylinders. So they've got to be careful here.
Solid stuff across the board for Complexity. Something that I think we don't talk about much with Complexity is they actually have a UK coach in Keita. I never know how to say his name. He was an old school UKCS player though. Yeah, Keita, whatever the hell his name is. It's always difficult to judge kind of what the coaches offer to a team, because from the outside looking in, it's hard to know how much is coming from the players, how much is coming from the coach. But Complexity have looked pretty good as a lineup, so I think it's fair to say Gators had at least some impact on that. And we'll head into the T side with some A smokes being lined up for Complexity.
Yeah, definitely. I think he was an observer at one point as well, so either way. Complexity going to move into the A site, and Gambit youngsters are very happy indeed to concede it. There's a bit of a gap, but I don't think it's going to be exploitable for Shiro, unfortunately. In fact, takes a bit of damage for his trouble. Super playing so very scared here at CT. I don't think they realize on the Complexity side of things how much control they truly have right now. But 4 CTs coming in. Flash comes through for Obo. Manages to find one, but there's so many terrorists to break down here on this position. It's an absolute bloodbath. It's Poison and Obo, though, finding all the frags. Mainly Poison, all down to Axile. He gets one, but unfortunately, you know, there was only 3 at CT. They eliminated 1, still 2 available. The other 2... T's are chilling. They're just chilling at the back of the site. So Complexity going to take the pistol. Gambit youngsters maybe giving them a bit too much control.
And you see Config playing that aggressive role again. Goes in first, gets dealt with, but the rest of the team's there to trade him. I was looking at the stats actually as well, and Config is one of the most aggressive players on the T side at trying to get that opening kill. He's really one of the most aggressive players out there at trying to do that. And it's such an asset, I think, to have on this Complexity team, because we all know that Blame F, back in his Epsilon days, he always liked to play a really passive play style. He liked to play in the back lines. So him getting set up for success is always a good thing. I think the makeup of this Complexity team is just good across the board. It's a well-crafted roster, and it's paying off for them right now. 9-7 lead for Complexity. And against the Pistols in this round, Gambit youngsters shouldn't have a massive opportunity, but Axile's landed that first shot. Can never count these pistols out. Inters holding up close on the B-bomb site. Here's the steps close by. There's a MAC-10 running in first, and Inters tries to see if he can slip past them, slip into the backside. That's not going to happen, though. Complexity cleaning up this round after losing that first fight. They've won most of the battles since. Shiro gets another kill, as does Nafany, so maybe there's something to be said here. Gambit youngsters bringing it close, but with Poison picking up that kill and Nafany being so far away at mid, I don't think he's going to be winning this round. He'll have a look to see if there's any chance for him to do so. Deeg in hand. They're not looking this direction, but they're also not giving him the chance to land a shot. And Nafany's just going to look to get away with the AK. So not bad from Gambit youngsters, but not able to win the round.
Definitely good to keep pressure on them early, though. And a nice little AK taken into the next round. Nafany just needs to be a bit careful. Kind of wants to go for it, but talking himself out of losing this AK, I think, ultimately. Now they're in a bit of a weird spot. I guess he drops the Deeg, uses the AK in this round. Can't really buy around it, so he's going to have to do an awful lot with it. Or save it again. So not quite as impactful as perhaps it could be if it was in a full-on rifle round, but we'll see. You never know. He's had a bit of a quiet game. Now would be a good time to step up for the in-game leader of Gambit youngsters. Once again, though, Complexity are ready to rumble outside of A. Blame F loves playing on his own, just creeping up short. Meanwhile, flashes and return nades coming in. To be fair, Shiro's position, now going to get taken down. Config leading the pack incredibly effectively as he picks up 3 very quick kills. There goes the AK. And Inters will be the only one left. Maybe has a bit of a hope of recovering said AK, but the round itself will go the way of Complexity.
Yeah, and that's exactly why Config likes to play his super aggressive play style, because his raw aim is up there with the best of them. It's no joke that Config is probably a top 20 aimer in the world, at least. He's unreal at times. When he's at his peak, at least, he can be very impressive. And we get to see a glimpse of that there with the Galil. He gets all those kills onto A. Blame F doing a tiny bit of damage at the end before finally cleaning up. Not a single kill on the round for Gambit youngsters, but that's going to have to change here. This is the buy round they were waiting for. Let's see those kills from Config yet again. As I was saying, very aggressive player, but his aggression is well warranted when he lands shots like that. And here's the buy for Gambit youngsters. All out for Shiro. Rifles across the board. They need to get something going here. They've lost the bunch of the last rounds. They have not been having much success, but that needs to change in this one. And we see some early mid play from Complexity. Axel going for a fight. He gets one, but he gets traded instantly.
Yeah, very early on in this second half, Gambit youngsters are shaking somewhat. A 1-for-1 trade is not ideal, but it's not terrible either. It definitely has thrown Complexity for a bit of a loop. Chilling at the top and middle. We've got Rush here over at T-Ramp. Really looking to wind the clock down and maybe catch off, indeed, some of the aggression. Inter's, you know, has pushed up into apartments, could very quickly pull off a bit of a flank. Decisions all around the board. It looks like Obo is going to move in to join them in the attack. It has been a very slow 30 seconds here. The smoke will come in towards window. Still being very quiet about it, only revealing that there's one, maybe two players around middle, but not giving the game away in terms of where this bomb will end up. Does seem like Gambit youngsters gambling on the A site, and it may well be correct as they creep up connector.
Here we go. Nades coming into A, and Shiro's AWP is in a pretty good position here. Super drops the smoke, but it's Nafany dropping the bomb. That's the big deal right now. Super can hold this angle. The kill from behind is always going to be his. And Rush is desperately looking for the trade, but it's not going to happen for him. I was setting up Shiro's AWP to be the pivotal man in that round, but it was the rifles that lock it down before they get anywhere near the bomb site. Complexity running out of time towards the end, and as soon as that bomb goes tumbling into jungle, you know they have a very, very hard time coming back into that round. I think Complexity there just running out of nades a little too early. Once it gets to that late round, they can't really make it work onto the A site, but they've still got to buy into this one, so more work to be done for the Gambit youngsters side.
Config, super aggressive early on. Got to be careful poking the B. Stackstyle, though, is ready for him. Meanwhile, over at B, they're out super quickly. Inter's not quite respecting the fact that Mibr is just charging forwards, able to get one, but he is traded back. Shiro on the AWP at the back of the site is indeed chiming in. It's taking a little bit of effort, but manages to pick up his first. They're trying to Molotov him out of position. The rotations, meanwhile, have come in, but unfortunately being nullified pretty quickly. Shiro is still alive, but it's a 2 versus 2. He needs to be careful not to go down here before Super gets into position, and there it is. Super will drop the bomb out in no man's land, and Poison also falls on the edge of the smoke. Gambit youngsters are liking this chaotic T side right now from Complexity. I think this is the bread and butter of Gambit youngsters from time to time. They like the aggression as well, although in this game they've not really gone for it as much because they've not been confident in it, but when it is coming towards them, they're prepared, they're ready, and they can indeed frag back.
Complexity have been forced back down to pistols as well. So Gambit youngsters finally starting to put up a fight. There was a big streak there where the rounds were going against them. But now they're looking a little better on this CT side. Shiro landing a couple of shots with his AWP as well. He's been a bit quiet so far on Mirage, but comes into play in that round. Complexity here with the pistols don't have a whole deal to work with. A couple of nades available for them. They're going to start by holding across the map. Gambit youngsters, though, we saw from their T side, are a team who are pretty happy to play a slow play style. They're not going to be getting aggressive in this round. They'll wait for Complexity to make their move. And Complexity look like they've made up their minds. They're going to group up onto this A side of the map. And Supra's the only man committed to this site right now. So there's a chance that Complexity could get the bomb down here, depending on the timing.
A slim chance, but a chance nonetheless. The respect coming in from Gambit youngsters pretty massively, as you can see, letting Super do most of the work here. Nafany just backing away, not taking wide swings at all. Oh, you can see why. Poison with a quick P250 headshot. He will be traded back, but it creates room for the bomb plant, like you say, and I think they can be very happy with that result. It's a big return on the investment. And BlameF still has the potential to maybe take a few heads. Oh, goodness me. Shiro drops quickly. They will indeed win the round and retrieve the AWP, but all the same, 2 kills and a bomb plant. Nice.
Yeah, I think Complexity will be okay with that. Gets them a ton of money into this round, making sure they've got the full buy going. And something that was pointed out earlier was that Poison doesn't always go for the AWP on this T side. He's happy to stick with the AK. They're happy to go with 5 rifles. That's what they're going to do ahead of this round. Poison could have bought the AWP if he wanted it. And we've got some early A smokes. This one's going to land at the back of Connector. Fast flashes up to the A site as well, and Supra is here to try and stop them. Org in hand, but the quick kills come in. Rush and Blame F both pick up entries onto the A site, and Gambit youngsters might be down and out of this round already.
Yeah, they've smashed it here on the Complexity side of things, and it does indeed, Hawker, look like they are going to move to save. Although they've hit that mark for me, I think this is an impressive showing already. If they can get any more, if they can bring it even closer, then I think they can be really, really happy with how things are going. It looks like a close game. So Complexity definitely not keeping their eye on the ball this entire first map, that is for sure. And some of those issues that we saw against Endpoint on Vertigo, the overconfidence seems to be getting the better of them again in places. But 12th on the board, still retaining a lead regardless of how it goes. Gambit youngsters are not really able to, you know, get that solid 11th or 12th. It just keeps slipping away from them at the very final hurdle, ultimately. Just losing out on the first half by a round, you know. But definitely a little tough. Definitely a little tough in that sense. Poison, though, getting aggressive with the AWP into this round. No time to break anything down, talk it over in terms of the buys. It's pretty much perfect from both sides apart from Supra. There you go. There's aggression. Underpass as well. Works out for Nafany, whereas Poison was not able to find anything on A. So an early advantage for Gambit youngsters.
Complexity going for some early fights. Doesn't go their way. And Nafany is pushed all the way up into the B apartments. So that's allowing Gambit youngsters to gamble more players onto the A side of the map. Because Nafany's got so much map control here, Gambit youngsters can position most of their players elsewhere. And Complexity aren't going to try and retake the B apartments control. Instead, they're just going to go for some mid focus of their own. Plenty of nades left for Complexity as well, only needing to use a couple of flashbangs to take control of mid. Let's see if they've got the lineups for the nades from mid, though. That's always a bit of a question, because all 4 players are coming up through mid right now. And they're going to move on to short inters. Oh, the timing's terrible. He pulls out a smoke just as Poison rounds the corner. And now Nafany has to anchor this bomb site. Nice kill onto the first man, and he's buying time for the rotate. Axel arriving in time, drops the bomb, and Nafany continues to just stay alive at the back of the site. Meanwhile, Blame F is getting kills over on A, but the time is going to be against them here. Config trying to fight his way out of it, but Axel gets a second kill, and Blame F might think about saving at this point. 20 seconds in a 1v3 does not seem too likely. He's going to go ahead and back off.
Yeah, he definitely thought about it there, but smart decision, really. They don't have super high amounts of cash available, and he's one of the richer members, so definitely good to just hold on to that cash rather than having to reinvest the 3,700 at the very least for the AK and the armor.
Nicely done by Nafany there, though.
Yeah, it's a really big round. It's a really big round in a lot of ways from him.
Staying alive is a big deal right there. Buying more time. He got the early aggression as well through underpass, as we saw on the replay. Now Gambit youngsters are very much in this game. Double up, set up, and Shiro lands the shot right through the smoke. Blame F may have been able to survive the last round, but he doesn't even get to see the light of day in this one. He's dead in the first 10 seconds.
See ya. Thanks for playing. Catch you in the next round. Nafany feeling himself after the last round as well. Getting aggressive there on the edge of the smoke. Config has to be a little careful here. Does a spot out inters, but does not want to go down. Would make things worse, and there it is. Shiro will creep in from short, shoot him in the back. Complexity are all over the place in this round, and Gambit youngsters are picking them apart like vultures right now. 5 on 2. Gambit youngsters seem to have picked up another round and may well just even things up. The lead might be a bit more difficult to acquire. And hell, this round's not over yet. With Oboe and Rush still in play, it is definitely doable. Oh, Obo gonna swing out, manages to find one. Rush also chiming in, but Shiro is around, making life difficult. Rush now the only one left. Flash gonna go down, but Shiro is not phased. 4K coming in for him. Massive round, as it will be the 12 for Gambit youngsters. This is coming all the way down to the wire on our first map.
Yeah, and I think this is where Shiro shines, on these CT sides where he's able to more just hold angles. I think he's much better in these sorts of fights. And you see there, he just turns it into a bunch of 1v1s, lands the shots consistently. I don't think Shiro's quite as good as going for those aggressive peaks and those aggressive plays as an AWPer, but when he's just holding the angles and when he's just trying to position himself correctly, he's normally pretty good at that. But here comes some quick B aggression. Config is an absolute madman running through the flames. Inters is able to get him, and the rest of Complexity will try and join him on the B-bomb site. Unfortunately, though, Config's already been dealt with, and I think the rest of the team might be following him to their grave. Poison moves through the smoke, but the hold is good for Gambit youngsters, who get themselves into the lead. This is really good stuff from Gambit youngsters here. This CT side looking solid.
Yeah, man. And they have indeed, you know, now taken the lead, got more rounds, as you can see, on the CT side. Without the pistol, Complexity would be leaving this first map, actually, with their heads hung pretty low. So, making all the difference for sure in this game so far. It is pretty bloody massive, and even a fast round coming in from Complexity in the previous with the pistols, which is where you see a lot of low-tier teams, or second-tier teams, I should say, fall apart. It's not the case, so they're doing such a good job of keeping it together. Complexity, meanwhile, maybe letting it slip a bit. Rush gonna push out onto A. He gets taken down by Supra on the secondary AWP, a new thing for them to deal with, and they're not able to do so. What is happening here, Hawker? Gambit, they've got another man advantage.
Yeah, again, Complexity just keep on losing these picks across the map. They're not even able to set up some of their plays in these gun rounds because they're losing these early fights. They're going down into 4v5s, 3v5s, and then from there, you need some real heroics to come back into the round. We're also seeing some aggression from Gambit youngsters. Nafany has gone through Palace this time, so he's been switching up his positions pretty consistently. Remember, in that previous round, he pushed through Underpass and got some early aggression. This time, he's pushed all the way into Palace, but it's Shiro who might have the chance to land a shot at mid. Players moving into connector right now. There is one man anchoring the A-bomb site. Supra's got the AWP, though, so he's got to watch both ramp and connector. This could be difficult for him. Misses that first shot. Smoke dropped by Supra for some more cover. So Complexity looking good to get onto A, but Shiro strikes from behind. 3v4 for Complexity to come back from. And Supra spots one over the smoke. Good shot. Nafany comes in for the flank, and Gambit youngsters remain on top. Good read from the Gambit youngsters. A 14th round on the board, and Complexity is sweating right now, Script.
Oh, they are, massively. Massively. Look at the cash. It's not really present. They're going to play for the overtime by the looks of it. Blame F making the call. A tough one, for sure. But Gambit youngsters have so much energy. I mean, I think they are born of this kind of Counter-Strike that Complexity are playing right now, trying to make the individuals work. And they are so prepared for it. And it is showing. Complexity starting to break apart at the seams. Don't give them much of a shot in this round, but the pressure on. We think a team of Complexity's caliber would indeed be able to handle it and maybe come up with a new strategy now that they have Gambit youngsters with a gun to their head. Boost up in towards windows seems to be the idea, and there's no one around. Could definitely sneak in. No one's watching it either. This is pretty big. They're playing 3 on B. Blame F going to creep in behind. The decision as to whether he goes for it or whether he holds, and he almost takes out Inters. That was almost a massive opportunity to maybe cut off some rotations, but he opted to take a fight, and he ends up losing it.
Yeah, I think now's the time to reiterate as well. This is Complexity's map pick here on Mirage. If they lose this, Gambit youngsters could have a real good shot at this series. We've got to see if that's the case, though. Blame F had the chance to open up the round for them, but he doesn't make the most of it. And now Complexity go back into this A play, and there's no smoke for CT. Supra's got an easy line of sight with the AWP. There's a second man here as well, and Supra goes back for more. Second shot connects. He spotted the last man, and he gets it. It was flash from Shiro, his teammate, that blinded him. But Gambit youngsters don't care. They've got their 15th round. They are 1 away from victory. 3 map points for Gambit youngsters. 3 chances for them to steal away Complexity's map pick. This is very impressive stuff from Gambit youngsters. They've had to work hard to come back into this game, and they've shown some real tenacity here on this CT side to go strong.
Definitely been a problem as well since this double up setup has come out. Complexity have struggled massively against it. Interesting here, I don't see it in action. So, moved away from it in this round on the Gambit youngsters side of things, expecting maybe something a bit faster. Don't want to get caught off by it. It's a straight up A execute coming in. So many smokes, so many Molotovs. Oh my goodness. The A bomb site is an absolute mess right now. Super is just on the edge of the smoke. He will find Obo, able to back away as well. Nafany helping him out. He goes down, but the kills are just all over the place. 4 versus 2. Poison and Rush to keep them in it on this map. Oh my goodness, I don't believe it's come to this, and I doubt Complexity do either. Can they keep them alive for just another round? They're not giving them anything on the Gambit youngsters side of things. An off angle from Nafany and an aggressive peek from Axile. They have done it. Hawker, oh my goodness, what has just happened?
Yeah, Gambit youngsters had to dig deep, but they come back here on Mirage. Complexity just fall flat on that T side. They couldn't get a round win. They kept on losing those opening fights. They kept on going down early, and that means Gambit youngsters win on Mirage, and now they get to play their own map pick. We've got Vertigo coming up next, a map that Gambit youngsters love to play. This is a series you are not going to want to miss. Gambit youngsters looking hot, looking threatening, looking like they want to cause an upset, and we'll see if they can keep it going on Vertigo after the break.
Welcome back, everybody. We are going to be getting straight into the action here on Vertigo, as this series is really heated up after that first map. Gambit Youngsters taking it away from Complexity on Mirage, 16-12 on Complexity's map pick. Goodness gracious me, it's about to get real spicy indeed. I'm joined once again by Hawker, and I don't know how you feel after that first map, mate, because I'm so excited to get into this.
Oh yeah, good stuff from Gambit Youngsters. They look like they were up to the task here. They look composed, especially towards the end of the game. I thought that they were just going to break once Complexity started getting on that win streak. But fair play to Gambit Youngsters. They came through on that CT side, and now we get to head into their map pick of Vertigo. And Scriv, I'm gonna start with a nice stat for you from the Gambit Youngsters guys. Out of the 20 pistol rounds they've played on Vertigo, they've won 15 of them. That's a pretty good win rate for the pistols.
Certainly is, and that's going to put them in good stead, right, to get a bit of momentum going, which is something that they found very early on Mirage as well. So really going to affect their confidence and everything. They're already going to be on an all-time high. We're all very surprised, I have to say. Certainly with our kind of analysis and predictions and whatnot, we thought this would be the fastest series of the day. No offense to Gambit Youngsters, but Complexity, of course, the self-proclaimed juggernaut. However, they fall flat, unfortunately, so we'll see what they've got here. Starting on the CT side of Vertigo, Gambit Youngsters. A lot of utility coming into this pistol.
Same for
oh my goodness, so you look across the other side. What's happened here?
We've got dualies. I don't believe it. Okay, so I want to see where these nades are going to go. Complexity right now is stacked on the B site. Poison's the only man at A. With the dualies, this probably isn't really dualie range, but here comes this nade. It's going to do some damage. Ooh, not much, though. Nafany only takes a tiny bit. I guess these nades could also deny the bomb plant if it comes in on this A site, though. That's something to think about here.
True. Start to rotate a few players across. I think they are waiting. They've put in a bit of work, it would seem. A little bit of an idea. Something they might have worked on in between games, in between maps. Poison going to look to push forwards. There's the first nade. Big damage coming in. There's still one available for Obo, by the way, so keep your eye on that. Poison, meanwhile, still alive over at Scaffold. Will go down, but not before Rush actually finds the first frag of the round. So the bomb plant coming in. There it is. Another nade going to deny the bomb plant. Beautiful stuff coming through. Nafany has to go for it. He's got Julies in hand. A little funny here. They're also very low, though, but got to be careful. Getting a bit too overzealous. The Julies are coming back to bite them. As Nafany picks up a 2k, it's now a 2 versus 1 for Blame F. He runs out of ammo, has to get the reload off, and that, unfortunately, means that he will miss his opportunity to take down Shiro. Oh, goodness. He's tapped onto the bomb, waiting for them to peek. The smoke will dissipate. Spots out one, but he's not able to find the frag, and Gambit Youngsters pull it back.
Man, that pistol round was full of mind games between these two teams. The nade onto the site was nice from Obo. I think the earlier nades did enough damage to where the bomb planter was fairly low on health. I think the man who planted the bomb didn't have Kevlar, though, because he was on about 60 health, and that nade landed straight on him. So normally that would do 50 damage to a man with Kevlar, but without the Kevlar, it ends up killing him. And then at the end, eventually Gambit Youngsters get the bomb down. They even get the Julies into their hands. Such a back and forth pistol. Such a fun pistol to watch. I love seeing cool things being experimented with like that. But after all is said and done, it's Gambit Youngsters who do get that pistol round win. And that stat rings true, Scriv. They keep on looking good on these pistol rounds. And hopefully that can get them off onto the front foot early here. But they've got to deal with this force buy first.
Poison yesterday from this angle found a good few frags with the scout. It's definitely a nice touch, something to cast your mind back to if you're watching it. Against Endpoint, when they were on their T side, Complexity faked the bomb plant on A to bait out the nades. So not only do they like pulling them out, but they're also very respectful of them. Bit of chip damage onto Super meanwhile in this round. It's going to get a bit interesting. Flash comes in, but Config not feeling so confident. Not quite his superstardom self on that first map, Mirage. Not wanting to go for the swing, and I think they have pretty much abandoned the B-bomb site, it looks like.
Yeah, basically. Obo's close by, but as he hears the nades onto the bomb site, I think he'll realize his chances are slim at best. Smoke's gone down. Obo's trying to spam on through. Does a bit of damage. Config could be set up for a kill or two here. Just trying to look over the smoke again, but Gambit youngsters using their nades wisely, making sure that Complexity don't really have a look in, don't really have the chance to land the shots. And Config can see the backpack, but he can't light up the headshot. That's so unfortunate for Config. If they had a molly, they could just get that kill for free, but there's no molly in play. Finally, a shot lands onto that man. The shots are going all over the place, but somehow no one's died, Scriff. This is ridiculous.
It is a bit mental, isn't it? And I think Complexity are going to gather their bearings and just look to back away and take what they've got into the next round, at least as best as they can. Axile finally breaks the silence. Will be the only one to find a frag by the looks of things. A nice $600 kill bonus coming in for him. But yeah, Gambit youngsters second on the board, pretty clean stuff. But kind of have to look to Complexity, I think, indeed, putting all their eggs into one basket on the A side of things and not paying off in the end. But still, constant pressure going to be on Gambit youngsters here, as they do indeed have the Scout, the 3 Deagles, and a few nades brought up into this round. So not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination here for Gambit youngsters.
Yeah, that's the upside of stacking one of the bomb sites in that last round. Like you said, they kind of put all their eggs in one basket, but at least they can carry that basket into the next round. And it turns out it wasn't eggs in the basket, Scriff. It was guns the whole time. They were fooling us. They save over some weapons, Deags and Scouts to work with into this round. Again, Gambit youngsters happy to go for this slow, methodical playstyle that they like so much.
Started off effectively for them on Mirage. Their T-side definitely did drop off towards the end. It was a stellar CT hold. It really was. That pulled them through the 16-12 victory. So we'll see whether the T-side drops off again here. I think still difficult to tell. Still a little early in the life cycle of this version of Vertigo, but seems that there's small consensus it's a bit more T-sided perhaps. Then I'm not sure. Things like this are a lot more, easy to pull off, almost losing his head, but spam doesn't really do as much damage anymore, right? So they're able to get away quite safely. Big chunk of damage onto Super, but not much happening. 30 seconds are left on the clock, and it looks like that is indeed when Gambit youngsters are going to start to move forwards. Huge nade from Blame F. 1-for-1 over at Scaffold. Config, though, making use of these softened up terrorists as he will manage another, not quite the third. Gets taken down. Bomb plant looks all but imminent, but the rotations are here, and Gambit youngsters, they are indeed very, very low HP across the board.
And no nades for Complexity to work with, though, so they can't deny the bomb plant, but they can get the kills. Oboe with a double, and now it's up to Supra to save this round for Gambit youngsters. Mac 10 in hand as well, not the best weapon. It's a medium-range fight onto the bomb, and he's already down to half health, so one Deag shot would do it. One Scout shot to the chest would do it. Timing just right for Supra to do some damage, but they're going to tap the bomb again. Supra looking for this frag, looking for the lineup, but he gets the kill he was after, and now there's no time left on the clock. Flameth is going to run this last man down, and even though he gets the kill, the time is long gone. Nice try from Complexity, good damage done. Flameth would have wanted to save something a bit better than this Scout, I think, but I don't know if he's going to get the chance to. Either way, Gambit youngsters get that third round win, even if it comes close.
Yeah, kind of a repeat for sure of the beginning of Mirage. It was awfully close in a lot of those early rounds, but Gambit youngsters, just by the skin of their teeth, quite a few times able to get it on the board.
Looks like it was that Scout saved as well, because Poison's got that now.
He's happy to go for it.
I've seen him like some pretty good Scout shots in his day.
Yeah, he is pretty decent with it as well. Like I say, a lot of spots for him on the A-bomb site that he likes to play around, and cheeky headshot angles and whatnot. Axile going to be the first to find a frag very early on onto Oboe there, over at middle. Axile is left on 2 HP though, so certainly a tough one for Complexity to stomach. Oh, bit of a failed Molotov as well. That's awkward, but it's all good. There's no one out there, so it doesn't really matter so much.
One minute left on that clock. Gambit youngsters have still got a fair few nades to work with. Same can be said for Complexity, though. We were talking about how those nades can be used to deny bomb plants. The Molotovs even can help with that. And Complexity are making sure to hold on to at least a couple of nades on some of their players. to have the option for that later in this round. Right now, though, it's Rush, who's pushed all the way down mid. Pretty good position to be in here. He can go for the fast flank through ramp, and Gambit youngsters look pretty set on moving into this A bomb site, but this is where that counter utility could come into play and could slow them down, because Rush has got this flank going.
Uh-oh. Timing going to be absolutely everything. They're watching for it. He manages to get one. I'm going to back away just to act as the distraction. Fake plant comes in. Config ringing off a few bullets. Not quite going to land. Rush left on 1 HP. I don't think he's going to get too much done on this flank from now, but we'll see. There's so many low HP bars here on the T side as well. Really could go either way, and they are so weary of Rush. They will shut him down as they push into him. So there you go. Now only one avenue of attack to worry about. 4 versus 3. The Scout of Poison definitely going to be difficult to use here. No real utility either to utilize. Oh, they go swinging straight into BlameF. The bomb's been defused in all this madness. Complexity get the first rival round on the board. Will Axel survive? No, he will not. My goodness, what a quick turn of affairs there. Complexity come out on top of it, however. And they managed to survive with 3 players as well. So pretty nice stuff in the end.
Yeah, that aggressive smoke on ramp makes Complexity realize as long as BlameF can shut down the short players, they can actually just win the round straight up. It's very difficult to line up that spam to the bomb, especially because the smoke was so far forwards that it's a bit more difficult to know exactly where the box is. You have to kind of try and picture in your brain what the bomb site looks like. And unable to do that, they couldn't line up the spam. Poison gets the defuse in the midst of all the madness. Speaking of Poison, his Scout is looking for something here. Supra was boosted up over that smoke, but neither player spots each other. Poison looking for more over the top of the sandbags. Oh, he's really having a look here, but Supra's got up close, and I don't know if Poison's ready for that. Oh, he is! Great shot with the dig. Poison gets away with it.
There you go. Maybe he does not need the Scout. But Axile creeps on through towards B and gets 2. Oh my goodness. So quick with it. Clean headshots coming in. He's pretty low, but will get taken down. Looked a little close there for just a second, and the rotation's now coming in. Unfortunately, the rest of the team not quite with him. Maybe needed to wait a little while, or maybe not. The damage that he's done, the pressure that he's put Complexity under is getting to them quite clearly. 3-on-2 coming in now with Poison once again on that Scout. A little awkward. The Deagles look good for him, and he is in behind here. Got to be careful. There's a couple of angles he's got to contend with, and it's a little bit easier said than done. Nafany looks away at the wrong time. Oh, okay, the bomb. Is it gone? It's meant to come back, isn't it? It does indeed. Okay, it didn't come back on the hood there. That looked a bit awkward, but all the same, they pick the bomb back up, but not before the kill comes in, and massive damage onto Inters. Meanwhile, Shiro's out on A. What's happened this round, Hawker? I don't really know. BlameF double spray down coming in, and Complexity get their second. Bit of a mad one.
Yeah, weird round playing across the map. Gambit youngsters, I think, were trying to make the most of those kills they got on B. Then they realized that Complexity had rotated so far over that they were able to try and move back up to A, but then Poison was in on the flank, landing dig shots, all sorts of craziness happening. I think something that could be worth keeping an eye on, though, is that individual battle between Axile and Obo over on that B side of the map. Seems like Obo has been caught by Axile a couple of times now in those 1v1 fights, and if that keeps happening, Gambit youngsters might just be able to explode onto B. So that's something I'll be keeping an eye on as this game goes on. Won't be keeping an eye on it in this round, though, Scriff, because it's the full save for Gambit youngsters, except for a single P250.
Oh, playing with fire. Poison. Not quite fast enough, unfortunately. Super does need to be careful, though, to keep on going for it. Config, meanwhile, on the secondary AWP. Looking good. Getting a bit of confidence. Oh, the mid-air collateral. Oh, no. That's a bit embarrassing. Right idea, but unfortunately, Config is not missing today. That's the bomb as well, so the round well and truly going to be over. And Config might even get the ace. Might even get the ace. Will Axel give him the chance?
Not BlameF doesn't give him the chance, apparently. The fellow Dane stealing away the kill. Stealing away the ace, but I don't think that's too big a deal. The shot from Config, I mean, the second one. Oh, man. What are the odds that you jump and you line up like that? Oh dear. Well, Gambit youngsters have got another buy going. Shiro again going for that SG. Talked about that previously. When he can't afford the AWP, he likes to pick up the Krieg. We'll see if it works out for him, as Config, I'm sure, will be confident after that last round. He's up against rifles this time round, though, so it probably won't be quite as easy for him. Here's Axile again, going back to this B side of the map. This time there are 2 players committed to B, including Poison on the AWP. So I think that's a bit of a switch up from Complexity. They're putting Poison to anchor the B site with the AWP now, because Obo's lost this fight a couple of times. But as it stands, Gambit youngsters aren't committing to too much. Aren't really going for much map control either. They're just sitting back. Blamef is the man who's going to get boosted. It's Complexity who make the aggressive move, and it's a double. Obo gets one with the Molotov. Blamef doing the damage, and in comes Shiro. 1 kill back into a 2 versus 3 for the time being.
Slowly creeping away as well. They've got a group up here. No real ground to work with, unfortunately. As you can see, Super is all the way at the bottom of A ramp. So, kind of back to square one, and they're without 3 players. Certainly going to be difficult. Config playing the contact, playing aggressive. Good to see him finding his confidence back. A 0.6 rating on Mirage. Only 11 frags, so definitely not feeling it on the first map of the day, but he's already well on the way to surpassing his scoreline of the previous map. See what he can do, though, to hold things down here. Going to go for a peek as he hears them coming. Ooh, looks away at the wrong time, but it's all good. They didn't spot him. Gets a second chance at it. All going to be onto Shiro and his trusty Krieg. 1 versus 3. 5 seconds to work with here. Has to go for the bomb plant. Nothing coming, unfortunately, and he knows he can't cross without taking the fight. Config will win it. Config will get a 2k. And Complexity will get a 4th.
Solid work. That flick back from Config was nice and quick. And he closes out the round. Secondary AWPing looking good for Config right now. Poison hasn't really been too active in this series, in all honesty, on the primary AWP. Config's the man getting much more involved right now, and it's back to the pistols for Gambit youngsters. Ooh, Blamef only gets 1 kill there. He transferred a bit too quickly. Nafany able to trade him out. Gambit youngsters still with just the pistols for the time being, but there may be a gun recoverable for them. They're not committing to the ramp, though, so they're going to be stuck with the pistols, sadly.
Still difficult times. Kind of around where any damage is good damage, I think, with what they've got here. But would be nice to recover something, or maybe get a bomb plant. Obo's got other ideas, however. Holding at default, waiting patiently for them to come on through, taking a peek every now and then. They're going to go for the boost up here. Hazard sign. No one around. Molly comes in. That's pretty effective, actually. Splits them up. Oh, the flashes. Almost well-timed. Unfortunately, not going to be the case. And Nafany just burns to the Molotov. What's happened there? That's a bit awkward. 45 seconds left. Waiting for team flashes to come through here. Obo holding it down. Nice and simple. Eco frags for Obo, but Shiro's got other ideas. Manages to find the head of 1. But he will eventually fall. So the 5th round for Complexity. Pretty clean. Surviving with the bare minimum of 3. As we always like to see. And it will now be another buy from Gambit. This is where they need to get the foot back at the door, I think, where Complexity is starting to really build up some bank, really starting to get some confidence, as well as the rounds. So, danger time, I think, for Gambit youngsters early in the first half.
The SG is spreading, Scriv. Earlier it was Shiro picking it up. Now Inters is having a go with it. Haven't really seen much of the SG, in all honesty. It hasn't been too successful so far. That recent nerf put its rate of fire pretty far down. Makes it difficult to use up close. Oh, speaking of close, Nafany didn't realize there were so many players so close around that corner. Super is able to trade him out, so it's turned back into a 4v4. Not a bad start to the proceedings for Gambit youngsters. Gone for these A plays a couple of times. Hasn't worked too well for them in the past, and Config is thinking of going aggressive with the AWP, but I think those flames have given him a second idea about that.
And now they'll try and re-aggress on both sides of the equation, actually. Config flashing in. No one there. Smokes in. Just giving it a check. I'll molly him off the angle, but still relatively quiet other than the odd tick-tick of a fallen smoke. That's a bit of a tough one. Config almost going down there. Thankfully, a flash comes in at the right time. He will eventually fall. However, Axile has crept in. Spam does take him low. They've lost the sight for now. Grenade coming through. No one planting. Doesn't do the damage. I think Inters might just have faked it, actually. Molly comes in. That'll leave him low. Obo trying to get aggressive here, but he's not ready for Supra. Going to get taken down. 4-on-2 on the retake. Poison does manage to find one. That might change their mind. It did look like they were perhaps looking to back away, but certainly a doable situation. Not really much utility to work with. The Krieg, awkward, or Poison bailed out by Blame F. Now all going to be onto Shiro. There's a player on the bomb, and the defuse will come in. He was hoping that they were going to fake it and push him. Not going to happen. Complexity pull it back. A 4 versus 2 retake.
Yeah, a couple of individual errors, a couple of individual misfires from Gambit youngsters there. That should not have gone against them from the 3v2, even the 4v2 earlier. The missed shot onto Poison, I think, was the biggest problem. Poison was just allowed to wide swing. That was a left eye peek for him, and he was able to get that kill on the man at short. That opened things up considerably. And Gambit youngsters showing some signs of weakness now. He really should have been able to close that one out. And you see at the end there, Shiro just playing so hesitant, thinking that they were only going to tap the bomb. Couldn't go for the play with the AWP. Complexity steal away another round win, and Gambit youngsters have to go back to the drawing board. It was looking so good for them. They got onto that A bomb site successfully, but they don't turn it into a round win. Now maybe they'll try out this B side of the map, where Complexity have got a couple of players waiting. Right now, Obo is here close by. Flash goes high and forces Obo back to cover. He goes for the fight and he gets it. Axile losing out. And finally, Obo wins that fight that I was previously talking about. Oh, that nade is on point as well. More damage done to Gambit youngsters.
Yeah, absolutely massive stuff. Obo definitely looking more confident in the recent rounds, so it's good to see for Complexity, maybe not so much for Gambit youngsters. You talk about that drawing board, and they had to go back to it in the start of this round. They've now had to go back to it during the round, it looks like. As nothing seems to be working for them in recent rounds. 35 seconds on the board. Close down a bomb site, and they are really taking their sweet time right now. Molly coming in, going to keep them back a little while longer. Meanwhile, Nafany, who is the man they'd left on the stairs, gets pushed, gets taken down. Config ready for them at the bridge. Gets the first as he goes for a peek. And that might just be all she wrote. Poison with a nice flick to drop the bomb with only 10 seconds left. And you're in at mid, Shiro, 1v5. You ain't got a hope in hell here. Gonna start to creep forwards, but Config just walks into him. Probably a no-scope, but definitely a 7th for Complexity picked up. This is a bit more what we were expecting, I think.
Yeah, not really seeing the set nades there for Gambit youngsters as they tried to take mid. Would have been nice to have maybe some smokes or molotovs to clear out some positions. They end up just kind of going dry. Makes it easy for Complexity to line up those crossfires, line up those shots, line up those frags. It's a 7-3 lead now, and whew, Poison quick on the trigger against the pistols. Quick flick onto Nafany. Doesn't get that second kill he was looking for. Supra's down to 33 health though, and Poison picks up the assist as well as another kill. Nice and precise from Poison in this round, making sure that the pistols aren't going to do anything.
Wow.
Blame F again,
Nice and
14 for 3.
Yeah, man. Clean stuff from him at the end. Cool, calm, and collected always, right? Never the flashiest. They're not too crazy one-taps, but they're just easy sprays. Not making life difficult for himself. Certainly not making his life difficult for his team. He was the one consistent factor over on Mirage. And it seems to carry on through here. Yeah, he's the second highest rated player in the game. So the fact that they ended up losing is certainly going to be a bit tough for him, but it's not affected him here. It's not really affected the squad massively either. And it definitely shows. It's really going to help, right? Because Gambit youngsters, they had an opportunity. There was a gap. There was an issue, perhaps, in Complexity's overconfidence. And, well, it comes through a little bit here. Inters catches off Poison, trying to pull off a flank. Nice to see it from Gambit youngsters. Of course, you got all these smokes and flashes and whatnot that block off the A site. They don't know that there's definitely 5 people there, so it leaves someone behind. Does someone just...
What happens?
He slipped.
Oh, dear.
He slipped, did he? I think he was trying to go for the little angle that's outside the map behind the girder.
Oh, well. Gambit is
too young.
Still 4 alive on this retake attempt, and Complexity are starting it okay here. Oh, Obo gets one of his own. Again, the kills coming in. Inter's not landing the spray through. Beneath you still happening, and they get it. They get away with the round. Shiro landing some shots at the end, but they're irrelevant. The round win's already gone the way of Complexity. And Gambit youngsters continue to get that bomb down on the A-bomb site, and then they can't find the follow-up. And there's the confirmation. Nafany did have a slip.
R.I.P. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Definitely a little bit awkward, and may well have really made a difference. That spot is difficult to deal with, to say the least. You can't really use any utility to flush him out, so you have to win the fight. And it is very, very difficult indeed at times, particularly when it's very chaotic and fast and whatnot. So we may laugh, but I feel like Gambit youngsters may not find it funny. Config gonna find the first onto Axile. Shiro playing contact, gonna try and find the trade, but easier said than done. He's checking every angle that God has sent here, and Config just holding nice and passive, waiting for him to come around that corner. Game of chicken at the moment, though, as Config will start moving forwards. He's faster to the mark, however, finds the first and second as well. Config is on point. 3k for him already. And the 10th round for Complexity looking more and more likely.
Yeah, this is an attempted B execute with what little nades they have left on the 2 remaining players. They're stuck behind a smoke right now, though it's not a clear entry path. Supra's got the kill he was looking for, but Rush has also rotated over. And Supra's just sitting in the smoke, looking for a mistake to be made, looking for an angle to work with. There we go, nice headshot onto Poison. Supra seems aware there's a man at the back of the bomb site. Rush perhaps making noise, moving to that position. And Supra gets up close. Second kill is good. Maybe there's a chance here for Supra. There's still a man behind these generators, and Supra's closing the distance. 13 seconds left, though. He's going to go back for the bomb plant, and Config is spotted, but Blame F comes in for the flank, secures the kill, secures the round. Config, though, really putting in a shift there. It's really Blame F and Config, the 2 Danes on the server, just trading that top fragging position right now. They're having a bit of a battle between them.
Yeah, man. It's generally what we expect to see, though. I think these are 2 of the stronger fraggers on the side, right? Rush seems to be in this more kind of supportive element for this side. Poison never consistent on the AWP, but it can be difficult, you know, to continually frag, especially when you go for plays like that. Quick 1-for-1. Those 2 kills came in split second, one after the other. But it has given a bit of a chance to Gambit youngsters. Very confident play from Poison. Looking to try and act on it, but kind of slowing things down and maybe missing their window of opportunity here.
There are Molotovs available for Gambit youngsters, so Blame F's got to be careful behind the sandbags. Oh, Molotov in hand for Axile. Oh, we know he's using it on short, though. So Blame F's position goes unchecked. And they are not looking this way whatsoever. Here we go, Blame F lining them up. Only gets 1 kill for the time being, but the nade could be good. Yes, it is. Nice kills from Blame F. He's still trapped behind the sandbags, but he puts a smoke down to buy a bit more time. And there's no nades for Gambit youngsters to clear him out, but he runs into the open. Inters makes it a 2nd kill. And now it's up to Obo on the Complexity side. The youngster on the Complexity side of things, to see if he can clutch.
Well, there you go. Little unexpected, but definitely possible, eh? Gambit youngsters definitely not down and out. Gonna move across to the B-bomb site. Obo just waiting nice and patiently. He does have a fair amount of utility available, particularly with the Molotov and the HE. Look towards these super low HP bars. In some cases, nade's gonna come in. Oh, down goes Inters. Doesn't even have to be that close. Fragmentation is strong enough, and now it's all onto Shiro, half HP. Not so much of an issue with the AWP, in all fairness. Holding a bit of an aggressive angle. Obo starting to clear them out. Smoke will go down. Molly as well, and I think he might just try and go for the hold, but it's difficult to find the bomb here. Taps onto it. Shiro has been heard, and Obo goes for the wide swing. We'll get the 11th round on the board. The 1v2 clutch coming in. Gambit youngsters keep coming so close in some of these rounds, but it just keeps slipping away.
Yeah, I thought this play from Intez was the difference maker. He got those 2 kills back. Then that nade from Obo, you're right, it doesn't land anywhere near the player, but he was so low that Obo only needed a bit of damage. And then the utility usage from Obo at the end there was very well done. I think he realized he was against Shiro, the primary AWPer, so he put down those nades, knew it would make the life difficult for the AWPer. And here we go again. Config has taken some early damage, but Poison has landed the no-scope. I didn't even see if he quickly scoped in, but it doesn't matter. Poison wreaking havoc on the ramp. Finally, Nafany gets him, but over at B, Obo is also getting aggressive, and Complexity are playing with no fear right now.
Yeah, very scary team as well, right? So, how do you deal with this? Obo gonna get caught off. Inters with the one tap. We'll move across to the AK instead of the Krieg. Not fancying it. Left so very low here, but they're going to try and charge onto this B bomb site. Meanwhile, Rush walking his way in. Going to take a peek onto the ledge. I don't think anyone's really going to be looking to fight him, honestly. Flash forward, so he's getting even more information, but there it is. Rush just needed to be slightly prepared for it. Manages to take him down. All onto Nafany. Not going to happen. 12-3 on the half. Complexity seem to have returned to normality. It was 8-7 on the half on Mirage, but coming into Vertigo, they are way more prepared, way more confident, fragging massively, and look to shut it down here on Vertigo.
Blame F's back on top now for Complexity with 17 kills. Config again, never far behind him. And Scriv, remember when Gambit youngsters won that pistol round and we were feeling kind of good about them and they got that 3-0 lead? Oh wait, they lost 12 in a row after that. Jeez, Complexity dominating the gun rounds.
Absolutely. Incredibly scary.
Like I was saying,
scary.
Yeah, Gambit youngsters still have that really good pistol win rate on this map.
True.
They're now 16 for 21 after they won that previous one. So maybe they can win this pistol. Maybe they can try and put up a fight. We'll see what they have to offer us up on their CT pistol. Nafany buying a kit and some flashes. Not as crazy the buys on the pistol this time round, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, going for something a little bit more in normality. Still fast, though, from Complexity here. They've got to be prepared, Gambit youngsters. They try to fight fire with fire. The first frag will go the way of the T's. Only just so Config left so very low. Flash going to come in. Super going to take a peek, but it's too little too late. He's already out of there. He's already repositioned, and now Super's got a decision to make. Does he keep moving forwards, or does he hold from short? It's actually into a 3 versus 3, so definitely doable here. Oh, timing going to be everything, though. Blame F just misses his opportunity. So very awkward in these fights. The double peak coming in. Super does well to even get one, but now into a 2 versus 2 with no kit. Complexity have got the ball in their court for sure. Oh, beautiful shot from Poison, and Astralis has to get off the bomb. Poison will take him down as well. And there it is, the 13th. The incredible pistol win rate. Not going to help them out there.
No, not with how this game's been going. Oh, that shot from Poison to start things off was nice. If they had a kit, maybe they could have got on that bomb. If they had that kit in their hands, I should say, because they did have the kit at the start of the round. They just couldn't recover it. And now with a 13-3 lead, we get a technical pause. Apparently Nafany's having some internet issues. I don't think we really saw Gambit youngsters use their tactical timeouts much, though. Considering that was such a big streak from Complexity, you'd have thought they'd have used some tactical timeouts sooner. By the way, loving these cam paths. A nice, nice look at the map.
Vertigo has a lot of potential in that sense. Talking yesterday with Keith, we saw... Oh, I'm trying to think. It was Forrester, Hard Legion. They were pulling off some pretty cool run boosts. Or, well, just the one, but it was still really cool, and it worked massively the first time, and then, of course, never really worked again. But I think, you know, because of the space around the map, the freedom that you have to go out and back in, makes for some really nice run boosts in plays, and in terms of viewing pleasure, you get those cam paths as well. There's a lot of potential. Who knows? Maybe someone makes a cam path for the road down below. Is that doable? I'm not sure. Might be a bit too far away. Also, might be very low polygons, but
yeah, it seems so. would be incredible if there was a way to actually see like the cam path of the player falling off the map. If you could get that right, that would be cool. It's hard to know when a player's going to fall off the map, though. Let's be real.
Yeah. Nafany just kind of disappeared from the HUD, and then it's like, has he fallen off? He bugged out, and then you see, you know, see the suicide. Unlucky.
It's a bit of a shame that Gambit youngsters, after this pause, I assume are just going to maybe eco. I mean, we'll wait and see what they decide to do. But it's not going to be great for them either way. Really feels like this map has slipped away from them. And here on Vertigo, normally a good map for Gambit youngsters. They've got a pretty good win rate on this one. But this is where we were talking about the caliber of opposition they've generally been playing against. They've played against teams like Big and Sprout on this map, some okay opposition. There's a Virtus Pro game in there. So they have some okay results, some okay wins on this map. But Complexity is just a whole different team to be coming up against, unfortunately. And this is what I was worried about, just the individuals for Complexity carrying them through. Because in a bunch of those rounds, it did come down to clutches, and then Complexity just won the clutches because they're able to do that. They've got the individuals to make those plays happen.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, you can feel it. Love that, by the way, of course. Wear your masks wherever you go, boys and girls. And everything. Well, yeah, it's a bit of a hard time. It is a bit of a hard time, and I think unfortunately Complexity, their individuals can run rampant on this map, like so much more. And you just see that on their CT side, particularly towards the end. It was a little, you know, in some of the rounds that, as you say, were coming close in places, right? They were being a little more cool, calm, and collected, and pulling it back, reining it back in, I should say. But once it started going well for them, once they were winning those clutches, once they had a bit of cash built up, etc., they were just going for it. They were absolutely going for it. So I think they have kind of learned that fighting fire with fire, they tend to win most of the time. So especially with this whole competition for the top fragger going on between Blame F and Config, of course.
I've got a question for you, Scriv. Do you know the bomb code off by heart?
Nah, I think it begins with like a 901, I want to say.
Oh, mate, you're way off. Terrible.
Am I way off? Okay.
What a casual, guys.
I don't know, man. I don't really pay attention when I'm planning the bomb. I have to be honest.
Honestly, neither do I, but for some reason I know it.
Interesting.
It's 7355608. I don't know why it's that. Is there a reason why the bomb code is?
There's got to be, right? It's Valve. It's Valve. There's got to be. They love putting Easter eggs in places.
Let's have a little.
Like
Google
a load of
search.
birthdays put together or whatever, right? Something like that.
Could be.
Or it's like, I don't know, Gabe's social security number.
Imagine if that was
this whole time. Yeah, this whole time.
Oh, apparently 7355608 stands for Test Bob in Leet Speak. Which this is a Reddit thread I'm reading, which just seems rubbish because it's gone from Test Bob in Leet Speak, then it's turned that into Bob's Set because you turn it backwards. Then it's gone from that to Bob's Set, and then that sounds a bit like Bomb's Set. That's what they think it is. That's what they've gone with. That's what comes up when you Google it. Like, there's no way that's true.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly forced, to be honest. That sounds incredibly forced. But look, everyone's back in. the game is set.
I do love random Reddit theories like that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Come up with a reason for anything.
Yeah. All right. So Nafany was rebooting his router. He's back in. Seems like they're all ready. Seems like they're going to force as Shiro is brought down to a deagle. Axile is also bent. Okay, that was a bit weird. They're going to reset anyway, so all good here. And We'll see what they go for. Gambit youngsters are indeed just going to buy up. Playing for the win, got to force buy themselves into oblivion. Or start winning some rounds. So, do or die here on Vertigo. Of course, Dust 2 will be the map coming up next to decide this one out. Gambit youngsters, I think, have already hit a really good mark. Picking up a map is a fantastic achievement, but they have been absolutely walked all over here on Vertigo. It has to be said. 13 in a row so far from Complexity. They're looking to make it 16 in a row, of course. And then they might just continue the rounds in a row, going on to Dust 2. Oboe with a super early smoke. Love that. Love to follow it, as it will cover off short. The CT side not going to have much to work with. There's a bit of a gap in it, but I don't think they can really utilize it. And Rush has just gone up so quickly through the scaffolding. Not able to capitalize, however. Supra has gotten that tag onto Poison as well. So, little things so far in this round. There it is. The nade to finish off Poison. An early pickup for Gambit youngsters. Nice stuff.
A much needed kill to start this round. If Gambit youngsters want to have a chance on this force buy. Supra lining up this smoke. I assume that's going to land somewhere at the ramp. Well, there we go. It lands on the short position again, so they can keep on holding the construction side of A. Complexity still just biding their time in this round. Nafany and Shiro holding close behind this smoke. There is that gap still to work with. Complexity remaining with all four players stacked on the ramp. But here come the fights. Nafany goes down. Shiro's waiting close by, but Config is not going to let him do anything. And Oboe somehow spots the head of Supra. Very tight angle, but Oboe's going to clean up the rest of the kills on the A site. Nicely done. And this nade from Axile is not going to be able to get a kill, unfortunately. Just a bit of damage.
Exile just looking to take the Scout and the Deegan to the next round. It does indeed look like they're going to have to force buy themselves into oblivion. Either that or maybe eco the next and play for 12 in a row. But I feel like that is somewhat unwise. If they wanted to eco, should have started it a bit earlier. But yeah, Complexity looking pretty unstoppable. And like I say, if this keeps up going on to Dust 2, it's going to be a real hard time. Dust 2 definitely a different beast. Not quite as fast, but still individuals and simple setups reign king. So I think Complexity will be more than prepared. And caught off on the first map, it can happen, right? We did say early on that map that they probably have not had as much time to do all the deeper research into a team like Gambit youngsters, right? It's a team that I think they wanted to gain experience from by simply playing them. And unfortunately, they got bested on the first map, but they have bounced back incredibly well and looking more like their true selves. It is going to be an eco here for Gambit youngsters. Oh, super quick headshot coming in, though. They've got 5 nades available as well, Hawker. Could do a lot of damage.
Nice shot from Supra. Starts them strong in this round. Fortunately, there's a fair few USPs in the mix, which isn't ideal. And those nades are being deployed, but they're not doing damage. Not enough damage, anyway. Molotov goes into sandbags. Complexity just making sure they close out or clear out a bunch of these close positions. Don't want to be caught by a pistol in some silly spot. Don't want to be caught off guard. And now we may just see them line up this A play. Every Complexity player stacked on the ramp. They've got the smokes in hand. They're ready to go for this push. Gambit youngsters have got a fair few players here. But again, with just the USPs, it's not going to be an easy hold here for Gambit youngsters. Most of the players are just with pistols. Scout shot lands, though. That sets up Inters for a couple of kills. Hold on a second. Gambit youngsters getting away with these frags. And more damage being done by that Scout. Supra's landed another tag onto Poison. Config, great headshot onto the first man. But Nafany comes in for the flank. And Poison is left in a 1v3. 11 HP left. And I think Gambit youngsters have done this. They might have just stole this round.
Well then, that's a little embarrassing for Complexity for sure. It does indeed seem that Poison, stuck in a rut, not really got many ideas of what to do. 10 seconds left. Creeping in, he kind of needs to find 2 kills, arguably, and can't even get the first, let alone the bomb plant. So, 4th round for Gambit youngsters. Complexity definitely taking their sweet time about it and falling to the USPs ultimately, although to be fair, the Scout does an awful lot of work. And we'll see now, their economy in disarray. They have managed indeed to get 3 AKs out, but a little bit of a lack of utility in 2 pistols, not ideal. This is definitely a chance for Gambit youngsters to start clawing things back and at this point build a bit of momentum going into Dust 2, but they're winning early fights consistently. Looking good here towards the A ramp.
Down for elevator, but someone's pushed through. Shiro gets traded by Config. Aggressive play does decently well for him, though. Speaking of aggression, Config's going for further fights. Tess has to deploy a defensive flashbang, but with the smoke down in CT, Complexity are moving it through mid. Super is trying to contain them here, but Poison and Config are both just sitting at mid, waiting to see if they can spot any of the Gambit youngsters players. Super now realizes elevator is clear. He doesn't really have to move from that position, but the A split does look like the most likely outcome here. If Super goes down quickly, that could be a costly player to lose. It could cost them the A bomb site, but that flank from Gambit youngsters is coming in the entire time. So the longer that Complexity take, the more likely it is they're going to lose out. 34 seconds. Complexity looks set on this A site. B is currently wide open, but they're not going to realize that. And oh no, Obo is in trouble. Axar gets that kill. They might make it to B here, Complexity. Where are they going? Oh no, they're flanking through CT. They don't realize B's clear, so they're going to try and go A. Supra gets that frag. And Poison is going to go back to this B bomb site. This is a chance for him. Good headshot onto the first man. He can actually get this bomb down. The 1v3 is not going to be likely, though.
Yeah, he has to go for the open plan. It allows an awful lot of time for them to move in. Molly coming through. Feels confident he can get aggressive on it, and he has the right angle, just not quite able to find the head. Oh, no, that's awkward. That's a team kill as well. That's pretty hilarious. Just wait, you know, you got plenty of time. You got kits. It's kind of funny, though. I mean, does cost them a little bit economically, you have to think. The 3 players would have been great to survive with. Now they have 2 or 3 down to the bottom end of the bank. I suppose it's only really Shiro who is massively, massively poor. But all the same, it could indeed make a difference, particularly when they are on the comeback grind. Should be okay, though. This round, hopefully, will be a good chance for them to build up some cash.
Shiro and Supra both peeking the ramp in tandem. Nice nade damage onto Rush. Supra's been blinded, though. Nafany needs to help out here. It's damage done to these players, and Nafany should be in a position for the frags. Indeed, he is. Gets away with 3 kills. Over on the other side of things, Obo against Axile. Again, on this B side of the map. We've seen that duel pretty often. Both these players playing on the B side of things. But Axile gets the better of him this time. And Config, who's been having a great game, could very well land some deagle shots, but I doubt he's winning this round.
Yeah, does seem a bit far-fetched. Oh, gonna overlook that angle completely as well, and Axel gets an easy spray. So 6th round for Gambit youngsters. Definitely the consolation rounds coming in towards the end here. Complexity losing a bit of steam towards the end, for sure. But do need to be careful, right? It's definitely not within the realms of feasibility quite yet. With a couple rifle rounds, you do start to believe in Gambit youngsters a little. And this one, again, not quite perfect, yeah? They don't have the full utility out on every single player. Although Vertigo a map that you're not going to get punished as much for that, it definitely would be nice to be as comfortable as possible to look to close the game out for Complexity.
This is such a strong angle if you don't smoke this off. Shiro holding here with the AWP. It's very difficult to deal with this. Flash goes around. Oh, that is such a nice flash from Blame F. That's one way of dealing with it. Shiro can't hang around. They're closing the distance here. Rush doing a fair bit of damage to Supra, who's forced to play back from the bomb site. Shiro is looking to hang around. I wouldn't feel too comfortable if I were him, though. Smokes off the molly, so he's just going to have to fall back. That spam through the wall nearly landed on him there. The Gambit youngsters have been forced to adapt here on this A-site defense, and Shiro is playing a surprising position with the AWP right now. Very difficult to fall back from that spot.
Just need to be careful. Nade coming through. It takes down Super. I saw it doing big damage, but actually finding a frag is really nice stuff from Rush. Shiro here, though, in this unexpected angle. Oh, he misses the shot as well. He's able to just about get away. Thank God for the T smoke that was there. Well, they've lost so much control. There's still a player at Scaffold, though. There's still a player over at short. Nafany is going to get a free frag onto Rush. Overlooked the angle, but it was a bit of a fake. It was a really well sold fake by one guy. And now they've got themselves onto B. Bomb plant comes in, 4 versus 4, but it's going to be so difficult for Gambit youngsters. They are severely locked out of this site. Look how deep that smoke is. They have no control here. Config gets in and around it. And the 4 versus 3 coming in. Surely not a chance for Gambit youngsters. Not if Config just keeps on fragging like this.
Yeah, Config just being a nuisance on the back of the smoke. Goes aggressive, gets both those kills, and gets the round win for Complexity. Maybe didn't need to jump there. Inters gets a pretty easy kill in the end, but the round is the most important thing. 15-6 for Complexity. Gambit youngsters don't even get the chance to set up the retake because Config goes aggressive and denies them. And Complexity should be closing out this map pretty shortly here. 1 round is all they need to take us to Dust 2. And if their individuals keep on looking like this, then Dust 2 would be a nice map for them to go towards, you've got to assume.
Indeed. I've seen Config have some real nice times on Dust 2. He does love it. Gets to play super aggressive, gets to use that mechanical prowess that he's got. Does play like a little bit of some kind of robot human amalgamation. Hybrid, that was the word I was looking for. It completely slipped my mind as I was, you know, pulling that one. Either way, aggression coming in here from Nafany. Love to see it. They are not deterred, and he will manage to find the opening frag and get away. So there you are, Gambit youngsters with an early advantage.
Inter's forced off that angle at mid on the new scaffolding position or construction, or I still don't know what to call that spot, honestly. I normally just call it scaffold, I think, but there we go. Nafany, speaking of aggression, goes for some of his own. Bomb's been dropped. Oh no, Poison doesn't realize there's a man behind him this entire time. Poison finally figures it out, but here comes Nafany, and Obo has no clue there's a player behind him. Poison somehow gets that second kill through the wall. Well recovered by Poison, but it's still a man disadvantage for Complexity. There's still a lot more work for them to do. Poison is going to get flashed in here through the smoke. He's going for the fight, but Shiro lands the shot up close. And it's up to Config. 1v3. If there's any man who could pull this off, you've got to think it would be him. Oh, quick kill as well. Headshot onto Shiro. He could turn this into more 1v1s. Bomb is going to be planted. Molotov about to move onto the site, though. Config will be forced into the open, but he's able to get back to safety, able to get back to a safe angle. And he wants to stick around here. He wants to play for further frags. Isolating this man at CT, spots him, damages him, but Inters just about survives, and Config doesn't realize Axile's on the flank. Nice try from Config, but just not aware of that last man's position. Gambit youngsters win another round.
Yeah, it's kind of tough here, eh? I think if Gambit youngsters had started on the CT side, could have kept things a bit more competitive. Because sure, it looks like Complexity is so far ahead, but you have to bear in mind, they won 12 rounds on their T side. So, you know, that's going to give you an awful lot to work with. And it's been this kind of back and forth affair since it hit 14 rounds. So it's not like Complexity really got a terrible amount of rounds on their T side to get to this scoreline. So I think if they had started on the CT side, it could have been a very different story here for Gambit youngsters. And that's kind of a little to be expected, I think, with the way that they performed on Mirage, the way that they performed generally. But buying themselves more time, all that good stuff, confidence and momentum and everything going into Dust 2. They, of course, already have a map in hand, so let's see what the plan is here. Pistols in play for the T side. Bit of a boost up coming in. No one on bridge, though, so unfortunately no opportunity to get a cheeky one. It's a nice passive position being held. Meanwhile, over at a ramp, a little bit tit for tat. Shiro playing kind of aggressive. Just need to be careful, but it's all good. Poison swings into him. gets taken down. If he had a buddy, they might just have been able to trade him nice and quick. Oh, that's a bit awkward. Watch out. Super stood in front of Shiro. It's all good, though, because he just keeps on fragging. 3 quick kills. The 4th coming in. A beautiful little 4K from Supra. And it will be an 8th round on the board.
Yeah, that first one was very, very nice. Supra cleaning up with all the headshots. And the spray onto the last man as well. Nicely done by Supra, but the comeback is still a long ways away for Gambit youngsters. Complexity should almost certainly be closing out Vertigo at this point, and they've got another gun round to try and do that in this very round. Flame F barreling on in, taking control of the ramp position. Complexity have been pretty heavily focused on this A side of the map at the start of the rounds, but this time going back to B, where Shiro lands the shot but doesn't do as much damage as he might have hoped for. Poison down to 36 health, and Shiro looking for more here. Flash comes in, Trade's already coming through. Shiro still not landing shots with the AWP, and Config's up close. He's going to look for this fight. Oh, what? Config gets 2 kills. I don't think he was even aiming at Axar, but he lands the shot. Eventually, Inters gets him back, and it's up to Obo. A 1v2, and he knows where the first man is. He spotted the Molotov up from heaven. Now he knows where both players are playing from. Obo, close range fight is good, and he's looking for the final man. Obo nails the headshot, and Complexity use their skill to carry them through here on Vertigo.
Yeah, why not? Just go for the old classic B rush. Yeah, it's the transfer across. Config's so confident in it, and Inters, I mean, taking that fight, it's kind of difficult. You sort of have to, but it allows Obo to readjust. Really, really, really good stuff from Complexity there. A pretty much flawless CT side coming in from them. Takes them a little bit of time to edge it out, but 16-8, they can be much happier with that, given the score of Mirage. We will, of course, be moving on to Dust 2 to see the final battlefield of this series. It has been an incredible best of 3. You do not want to miss it. We'll be back after the break. Well, well, well. Here we are. Dust 2. The final battleground between Gambit Youngsters and Complexity. I have to say that I am coloured surprised. I am not sure that we would be here. And yet we are. Gambit Youngsters, an incredible showing on the first map, 16-12 on Mirage, on their opponent's map pick, but Complexity, they were not messing around on Vertigo. Little tougher to clean it up, but after a 12-3 half, they were able to pick it up 16-8. And now, moving on to Dust 2, where the individuals were looking absolutely on fire across the board from Complexity. You have to worry for Gambit Youngsters. They will win the knife round. We'll see what they can get going off the back of that.
Yeah, Dust 2 is one of those maps where I think you can start on either side. In all honesty, it's pretty even in general. Definitely not massively favored to either side. Yeah, I want to see how the individuals play for Gambit Youngsters at the start here on Dust 2, because Complexity were really showing up there on Vertigo. Config was having a great game. He could definitely be a player to step on up here on Dust 2 as well. You got guys like Obo, who's doing pretty well. Obviously, Blame F was, I think, near the top of the board also. So a bunch of the players showing up for Complexity. And Dust 2 is a map where the individuals can make all the difference. So if that happens again, I'm sure Complexity will be feeling good about their chances as we get a nice fly across the map.
Of course, just a bit of a tour of Dust 2 in case it's been a while since you've been here. Somehow I doubt it, but it's all good, you know, to get a quick overview, to refresh your memory before the pistol gets started, and also, you know, it gives us something to look at instead of players just jumping around, knifing each other while they're getting ready to get going. So, Complexity in with the utility buy here. P250 for Blame F. 2 smokes, 3 flashbangs across the board. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, we've got Super buying up an awful lot of utility. Poison very lucky to not get taken down there. I think he got headshot through a wall, and he's left on 20 HP. So a nice early exchange for Gambit Youngsters.
Complexity going to move up mid, though. Into Catwalk they go. Into short now, safely, without taking a massive amount of damage. And, ooh, that smoke, I don't know if it's landed exactly where they wanted it to. It trickled down to CT, but that's going to help them out. Nafany's got a little gap to work with. That's what I was talking about. There could be some issues with that smoke, but they're going to get the bomb down safely on the site. Shiro looking to land these shots at range. He's struggling to do so against the moving target. And in comes Blame F on the flank. He wants to play the bomb from long. Fights keep on coming, and Gambit Youngsters are winning all of them. Blame F has Shiro trapped, but it doesn't matter. Shiro fights his way out of it. Nice shots from Shiro there alongside Supra, and Gambit Youngsters take a nice and easy pistol.
Yeah, definitely been consistent with those pistols across the course of the series. I think maybe only losing 1 on Vertigo. Mirage was a little while ago, so without looking directly at the stats, but all the same, really, really good stuff. So it's always nice to have that in the back pocket. Reliable pistols, reliable kind of 2 or 3 rounds, really. We'll see, though. This is a pretty comprehensive buy coming in from Complexity, actually. They've gone with the old classic, you know, dropping some AKs across Config and Rush. Interesting to see that Config does not have one of those AKs, but all the same. Maybe that's just the way the econ worked out. However, Gambit Youngster is going to have to be very careful indeed. Blame F is a formidable opponent in and of himself.
Yeah, Config's always going to be good with the Deeg as well. Not a big deal, you would think. The rest of the players with the AKs should be able to do a good amount of damage in this round. Mid control again coming in for Complexity. Gambit Youngsters not fighting for short. Shiro's got a scout holding this. Not the best weapon to be able to really do a lot of damage. He could really do with the nade softening up some of the players beforehand. Molotov will keep them at bay, but if he doesn't deploy this nade, landing the headshots is going to be really hard. The only player who would die to the chest shot would probably be Poison, who's taken some earlier damage. And here we go, smokes out onto A. Let's see if Shiro can do some real damage here with the scout. Not going to be easy, but the nade bouncing off the wall is going to help him out. Misses the shot, though. Shiro unable to connect. Gets a second opportunity, but these are really hard shots to hit, and Complexity are going to get that bomb down safely.
Shiro really backing away. Just get the tag onto Poison, leaves him on 3 HP. Config holding things down from short. Poison, meanwhile, actually picks up Shiro, so that's a pretty big frag to be finding. The AK gets dropped pretty quickly. Blame F and Config to try and hold things down. And they will get the force buy.
Yeah, that's the difficulty on that second round on short there. If you don't have the AWP, it's pretty hard to land those shots as the players cross to the site, and then playing for retake is oftentimes going to be just in a 5v5. That's what ends up happening. Complexity win the round, and here goes Blame F. Holding the angle, takes a bit of damage from the nades, but he dodges away from them, and it gets the opening kill. Nice start to this game for Complexity. Looking good for them to gain the early control off the back of that force buy win.
Yeah, and I think might just give them the strong foundations that they need here on their T side. I do kind of see them taking this, I think, at least in the first half. But we'll see. Gambit youngsters have had a very, very strong CT side kind of across the board, right? They looked incredibly good on Mirage. Brought it back nearly on Vertigo. Okay, and it kind of shows a little bit. 1-for-1 coming in. Anthony with perfect timing. He'll drop the bomb, find another frag, bring it into a 3-on-3. They're yet to deal with him as well. Molly will come in to just force him backwards. Bit of tag damage coming through the doors. The Mac 10 to track him down. Oh, that's a bit awkward. Supra also falling. Shiro trying to do what he can, but he's left in a 1-on-3 overall. They've got the bomb back. They look to make their way over towards B, or do they, right? He's going to go barreling through the smoke here and almost finds the kill onto Blame F, but not quite. 1 HP, the difference. And Complexity get the second round of the board. It's pretty close, though. It is pretty close. So Gambit youngsters keeping it competitive early.
Yeah, economy's still good for Complexity, though, and it should become even better after this round. They're up against almost a full save across the board. Poison's already picked up the AWP, and he's been the one man on Complexity that's been a bit quieter than I was hoping. I think in general recently his form has been a bit slower than the start of this roster, where Poison was looking really good. So I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more from Poison now that we're on Dust 2, where the AWPers have loads of options available. Aggression from Gambit youngsters, though, should be spotted by Obo. Ooh, doesn't react quickly enough to get that kill. These fights being a bit awkward for him, and he actually loses out. Nice shot from Supra. He's going to get an AK.
Config, got to be careful. 2 players stacked on top of each other. He's not even able to find one. Poison will come in with the Glock, however. And Glock trumps AK, apparently. Might just have found them a way into this round. The bomb plant at the very least. We'll swap back to the AWP, and now kind of a question, you know, I think Supra will look to save, but the other 2 USPs definitely could find another frag or steal across an AK. It looks like they're going to try and go for it, though. Edging in, the boost up going to come through. Supra gets one, able to drop back down. Rush being tagged ever so slightly, but Blame F comes in, and that's the assistance that was needed. Inters will be the only one left. And there's no real time for him to do anything here. More damage is always good, but I feel like saving the AK could have been pretty nice for the one-tap potential.
(3-1) lead for Complexity, who have been getting some good results here on Dust 2 recently. Poison having to clean up with the Glock was a little bit awkward, but it all works out for him in the end. And Complexity, in terms of their recent record on this map, they've been able to beat Mouse Sports. They've been able to get a bunch of wins against some okay opponents. Teams like Skade, teams like Endpoint and Big they've beaten recently. Some pretty good results, but so far in this round, Rush is trying to run on in, and it's not going to work out for him. 2 kills for Gambit youngsters at the start of this long hole. Poison gets one back through the smoke, though. They need to get that bomb. It's dropped in the midst of the smoke, and Complexity are aware of that. They're sticking around. They're looking to fight for a little bit longer. Obo committing to this fight, looking for the man in pit, but he's playing it super safe. And Poison's just holding this top angle in the meantime. It's only 2 players left for Complexity, though. These fights still not coming through. Poison doesn't land a shot. I don't know what he was shooting at there. Thought he saw someone, didn't. And that means Nefani gets an easy cleanup. Nice job by Gambit youngsters.
There you go. They are able to fight back. They are able to get back on the board. That's the wind into their sails, so they may well need here. As Complexity going for a bit of a loop, and with how close some of these rounds have been coming, don't really have the cash to fight back. So, should be a third, actually, for Gambit youngsters, looking at it. Certainly easier said than done, it would appear, at the moment in this game, but all the same, setting themselves up in pretty good stead. Nothing much coming early on. They've managed to get a player into CT, but I think they're fully aware of this on the Gambit youngsters side of things. Certainly looks that way. Poison definitely showing himself there. They do need to be careful not to get distracted by him. The flash coming in. Oh, they're all going to drop into it, though. Does mean Inters has got a bit more work to do, but he and Shiro hold it down brilliantly. And unfortunately, without the utility, that CT drop kind of leaves you out in no man's land. So, a bit of damage from Complexity, but nothing much.
Not a massive amount being done there. 3-3, and Complexity will go for this A-long fight again. Shiro on the angle. Already has 9 kills to his name. These flashes are blinding everyone, but Axar recovers quickly for 2 kills. Good spray with the AK, and even though Gambit youngsters won't fight for A-long any longer, they'll win the trades on the initial fights.
Yeah, I think once you've won the advantage, the manpower battle, it's all good to let it go in terms of control, because you've also got something like this happening, right, where you pull off a quick flank. Obo does seem savvy to the fact, but it's kind of difficult, making a lot of noise, yeah, and he's not quite committed to it. Super peeks out at a good time, takes him down. Now just Poison and Blame F remaining. Slowly going to make their way over towards A. Not much utility to work with for the cross. Just the one smoke, really, and they're opting to save it, in fact. Flash comes in. It allows Blame F to cross. He's on the ramp. They know he's on the ramp. Jumping up, trying to find the head. Still find one, but he's traded quickly. And now all onto Poison.
Goes ahead and drops a smoke for a bit more cover. Poison looking for this first fight. He's given it, but he can't transfer quickly enough. Shiro comes in with the AWP. Good start to this game for Shiro as well, with 10 kills on the board. Starting to see him have a bit of a performance that we're more used to seeing. Gambit youngsters into the lead, and Complexity's money again is put into a questionable position. They have to go for the low buy. Gambit youngsters are doing pretty well at getting some early rounds on the boards here. The fights at A-long have generally been good for Gambit youngsters. They've generally been getting the better of those. This time, Shiro's forced off the angle by the P250. But with only the pistols, Complexity shouldn't have much of a chance in this round, especially because they don't even have any nades. Maybe if they had a couple of smokes and flashes, they could try and close the distance up short. But they're just going to be running into the open, which doesn't seem too likely to be successful. Might go for the run boost again. We'll wait and see.
We'll get a quick update on them as the cam path comes in. Rush is going to find Shiro just as it lands, so 4 on 4. I think ultimately if they can get the bomb down here, they'll be very happy indeed. It's difficult to deal with this AWP. Inters has retrieved it. Inters looking good with it as he picks up 2. He picks up 3. Nice and clean. Shiro not the only one that can AWP. And it will in fact put him a little higher up on the board. He only had 2 frags before that. Meanwhile, Config, once again, we look across to him, only on 1 kill right now. He was looking great on Vertigo. It seems to have dropped off a cliff, however, so definitely needs to get his act together a little bit, because he is such a key part of this Complexity side.
Switch up for Complexity. Loads of nades deployed through the mid doors. Plenty of flashbangs used to try and get them into this position. Now they can try and set up a beam split if they so desire, and Config's got the opening kill. They haven't cleared Axar though. Easy lineup for Axar, but now there's only 1 man left on the B bomb site, and he's already gone. Blame F has just got that entry kill. The B site completely lost, completely in shambles, and Gambit youngsters have to concede this round. Fast play from Complexity, and the switch up works out for them.
Well, they needed something a bit different. Catch Gambit youngsters with their pants down. And it works. Straight back into it. Still competitive, though. Still, if this save is pulled off successfully, which it looks like it will be, they're not really hunting on the complexity side of things. Still going to be a hard-fought battle in the next round. But we'll see. This is definitely their chance to break the back of Gambit youngsters, close the gap, maybe take the lead. In the same way that they did... Oh, that's a bit awkward. BlameF goes down to the bomb. Whoopsie daisy. Not under any pressure at all. Bit of an unforced error, but... should be all good. It'll definitely mean that they have to go deeper into the bank than perhaps they were wanting to.
Just had to bag a little last second there to make sure Config had a gun. So Complexity's money is not looking too strong. Means they need to keep on winning these rounds if they want to keep buying. Obo's been able to find a pick over at B. That was just through the smoke, I believe. Yeah, look at the minimap. Supra was behind the smoke, so Obo with a nice lineup to start this round, and that could be the opening that prompts Complexity to move towards this B site. They know there's probably a maximum of one player here right now. It is Nafany alone on this B side of the map, and they're going to try and put him down. They're going to try and pressure him. Nafany gets the first kill, almost the second, but Config survives despite the dink, and Gambit youngsters are done for in this round. Nothing they can do.
Complexity have hit their groove once again then. And Gambit youngsters, like I say, their economy, their bank, going to be completely broken here. Not quite stacked up enough loss bonus to really do very much, so are we just going to look to eco it? Maybe some upgraded pistols. Don't really think they have much of a chance into the next round, so it should be Complexity with a decent chance at taking the lead, shutting things down, keeping things under wraps. Still, you know, more competitive and a lot closer than things were on Vertigo, but still kind of the ones that are able to keep the control, keep the momentum going in their favor. Particularly in the rifle rounds, yes, it looks even, but you have to look to pistols and everything for Gambit youngsters, although they didn't really convert it, I suppose, so maybe not so much. It was nullified quite early on. Either way, more speed coming through from Complexity here. Rushing out long, no one showing them anything. Like I say, pretty much a full eco, just the one P250 brought up alongside the AWP, of course. But nothing much coming for Gambit youngsters, and I think ultimately they'll be looking to try and take the AWP into the next round. Is kind of worst case scenario for them. That's what they'd want anyway.
We'll see if there's anything else for them here. They've got the push through B, so the information, at least there, for Gambit youngsters. No one's watching the flank right now, but as soon as I say that, BlameF looks back, making sure that no one's in their spawn. And even though Complexity have seen the push through B, they know that it's probably a stack on A. They're just going to go for it. They're going to commit to the A bomb site. Config and Rush doing the entry work for the team, going in first. Trying to see if they can win at these fights, and Config should be able to do so. Easy headshot onto Nafany. Complexity have managed to avoid the main threat in this round. Well worked by Complexity to make sure they can get themselves back into the lead.
Yeah, looking very good once again. I think kind of realizing quickly, like on Vertigo, everything went right for them. On Mirage, I think it took them a little too long to garner respect for their opponents, and I think now they have finally found that groove where it's like, okay, they're actually a little more comfortable on Dust 2. They were not ready for our Vertigo at all, but they look a bit more comfortable on Dust 2. Let's, you know, I suppose they are playing rounds that are a bit more disrespectful in nature, but I think they are ready and they've read into where Gambit youngsters are good, and rather than playing them at their own game and trying to beat them at it, Complexity are kind of rewriting the rule set. And it has definitely worked for them in these past few rounds. We'll see another full buy coming in from Gambit youngsters. 2 Famasses in play, not ideal. Certainly workable, as I always say. We'll see what Complexity have got in store. Poison going for an early peek. He is very, very late there. The flash does not come over in time either. Shiro is able to find that frag easily enough. So there you are. Early pickup for Gambit.
Quick move through mid from Blame F. Smoke goes down. This B site has been a bit of an issue for Gambit youngsters in some of these recent rounds. I think Complexity are looking to make the most of that again. Obo has been waiting here the entire time. They're going to start to line up some nades, but Axal is all the way in their spawn. Supra playing aggressive. Molotov makes life difficult, but Nafny gets the spray through. Supra can line them up here. Almost gets 2 kills, but Blame F comes back with some headshots. I'm not sure it's going to matter too much, though. He's alone in a 1v3, and Axal's on the flank the entire time. Line up for an easy frag. And a pretty easy round from Gambit youngsters. Good adaptation there. They were much more ready for the B play this time around.
Able to get back into it pretty quickly. Pretty good stuff from Gambit youngsters. You know, they look like they might just have hit a brick wall and they're possibly going to find things difficult. But no, they bounce back, keep it competitive, keep it close. Complexity still have money to buy up, however. And are looking to fight back immediately. But still, this is really good stuff so far from Gambit youngsters. Oh, nice little nade coming in. Forces the AWPer off the angle. There's no one close enough to really capitalize, though. They make their way up short, kind of unseen. They might have been heard a little bit, but not as much information to work with as Gambit youngsters would like.
It's double up setup for Gambit youngsters. Currently playing on both bomb sites. It's actually Inters AWPing on A rather than Shiro. Shiro's taken his AWP over to B. Deep Molly goes in, making sure that Poison's not on this left-hand side behind the box. Poison's going to use some nades of his own, and ooh, leg shot lands from Shiro. He's going to look back to mid. Another shot connects, but no kills on the board just yet. Shiro is going to finally find his first frag of the round. Nafany gets one of his own. Bomb's been dropped, and they're going to keep on coming. Shiro finally misses his mark, and Supra also follows his teammate to the grave. Good trades from Complexity. They get their way onto the B-bomb site, but Blame F is trapped at mid. If he goes down early here, the retake could be doable. Blame F's got to be careful. The nade comes in, but Blame F swings for the fight. Great frag from Blame F. That should be the difference maker. That should settle this round.
Yeah, definitely looks that way. Locked out the B-bomb site as well. Not really able to get back in. Blame F once again. Massive impact. Looking very, very good across all these rounds so far. Complexity. Just about edging the lead out, and Gambit youngsters unfortunately not going to have the cash in this next round. Not on max loss bonus. They just knocked it down a level. And they don't have enough in the bank. So, I mean, they might go for it. Some of the players have got almost, you know, enough to, I guess, to pull out the M4 and everything. But, like, do they want to go for it? I feel like Complexity are a team you really need to bring your A game to. And when you're lacking in utility and weaponry, yeah. So, they are just going to go for the half buy. Bit of utility bought up. Eagle and a P250. Of course, that AK in play as well. But Complexity show no signs of slowing down. Flash comes in. It's not effective at all. Config leading the way. Clapping heads. Seems to be thriving in these past few rounds now that the speed has been indeed picked up. Blame F with a double at mid. And Config over on short. Only losing the one player. Nice and simple stuff from Complexity. Comes down to the final round of the half.
Final round of the first half coming up, and that means we've got AWPs galore, auto snipers as well to watch the cross. Blame F again, 17 for 6, has been so good throughout this series. And nothing lands on the cross. Again, so often, all the snipers seem unable to land shots on the cross, but Obo can land a shot at long. Shiro's been out-AWPed by Obo at the start of this one. The long spawn pays off for Complexity, and Rush is going to make a move which costs him. Axar ready for Rush to be crossing there. Nobo's going to get smoked off, so the Orc doesn't get the chance for the trade. And the youngsters have brought it back to a 4v4, and they've got the A-long control. Not bad for them.
Not bad at all. Obo, trying to get the wall banging. Unfortunately, Axile is not quite in the position that he would want. The nade goes in, doesn't really do enough. Still all to play for here. Where are they going to go? Complexity. Chilling in and around middle. Meanwhile, at the very least, information being gained here by Super and Nafany. And eventually, possibly, maybe a flank. They will move down lower tons as they hear the flashes coming in towards short. They've got to be careful here on the complexity side of things. Caught with nades in hand. Caught jumping up to Xbox. One secured. BlameF going to push forward to his own Molotov there. A little bit of a crazy time. He's managed to make it over towards B. The bomb itself is going A. What is happening here? 4 versus 3. Poison's just got his knife in hand. There's another one. Nafany will be traded as he unfortunately has to go for the reload, but there's still another player to find, and they've only got 20 seconds to go. Hawker not looking good at all. It'll be Config. He gets the head of one, able to escape the second, but Axel takes him down eventually. And they get the 7th round. As close as damn it. It is Complexity to just edge out the half lead, though.
Not a bad half for Gambit youngsters, though. 7 rounds on that CT side. I think they'll be pretty happy with that. Both these teams have a higher round win percent on the T side here of Dust 2, according to the stats. So getting 7 rounds is nothing to sniff at. I think this is a pretty even first half between these two teams. Could be anyone's game here heading into the second half. And Gambit youngsters have had a fair few players doing a decent job. I think Shiro had a really good start here on Dust 2, though. I think he got 10 kills in the first 5 or 6 rounds, it felt like. And he's slipped away a little bit since then. He hasn't had the same impact in the later rounds, which is a bit unfortunate, because I thought this might be the game that Shiro really started to take over and really started to show us what he can do. But it's not really been the case. It's been much more of a team effort for Gambit youngsters. And we will wait to get into this all-important second half of this second semi-final.
Let's get it. As immediately Gambit youngsters know what they want to do. They have bought everything. Complexity, meanwhile, takes them a little more time. Going to see the heavy utility buy coming in from them once again. Everybody else with the Kevlar. Early smoke coming in from Gambit youngsters, I believe over towards Xbox, looking likely. That's normally where they go on pistols here. Double nade at long, unfortunately not really doing the damage that they wanted on the complexity side of things. And yes, it is indeed. We'll see them creep up. Not seen, spamming away with the Glocks, jumping around, trying not to get headshot. Oh, BlameF, that timing is so unfortunate. He gets a smoke out just as the player peeks around. Config also taking an early goose. So much damage done here by the T side. And Axile with a quick triple is going to look to turn this round completely upside down. 5-on-2 for Gambit youngsters very early on. Once again, impressive pistol coming in.
Oh, Axel keeps on going. That's a quad kill now. And he's going to want this ace. He knows that Rush is in CT. Here's that reload. Give it to him. Axel gets the ace. And that's a great start to this T side from him. Axel's been stepping up for Gambit youngsters in the recent months. He's been the rifler that's really stepped up to join Shiro at the top of the board more often than not. But now he's the man top fragging entirely, all on his own. And he did such a great job on those first 3 kills. In quick succession, he gets all those frags. And Gambit youngsters get themselves on the board early with that T-side pistol. That's a really solid start for them. But they've got to deal with the force buy. They've got to deal with the scouts and the Deegs of complexity into this next round.
Definitely deadly, right? And we've seen an awful lot of these rounds go the way of complexity in this series. Nothing as yet. Gambit youngsters playing it nice and slow, but there it is. The jump beat comes in, and Poison is just panicking out in the open, not sure what to do. Shiro takes his head clean off. And it will very quickly be into a 5-on-4. Config's also got a scout in place. Someone could recover that one back from Goose. It's a bit of an awkward spot, though, isn't it? CT cross smokes coming in. No gaps to exploit. And Gambit youngsters look to hit the A site.
Yeah, they've got to go while these smokes are up. They don't have many nades left, so Supra's crossing to the bomb site itself. Rush up close. Gets one with the Deeg. He's really good at spamming that Deeg at close range. He keeps on getting away with those kills. Gambit youngsters should remain on top, should remain in control here. Nafany gets another kill. Nice shot from Config, right between the eyes of Nafany, but the bomb will be planted, and Complexity, I think, will be bailing out of this round. The two Danes could hang around for exit kills, but they could also just save at this point. It's very unlikely they're winning this.
I'm going to go for it, though, Hawker. I've got other ideas, mate. Not listening. No. Okay, maybe not. I eat my words up straight away as soon as they come out of my mouth, as they were just looking to find a couple heads. No one peeking into them. Maybe if they had, they'd have fully committed. But yeah, just going to take what they've got into the next round. Gambit youngsters weathering the storm this time around. Super, super good stuff. Happy to see that they are indeed revitalized here, not letting Vertigo get to them at all.
Has to be a low buy for Complexity. I think if you're a Complexity fan right now, you are a little bit nervous, it's fair to say. Gambit youngsters have been playing well. They've been keeping up with Complexity, and they've got the early edge here on this second half. Config with this scout playing in and around short. He's going to go back to the A-bomb site. He might arrive in time to try and land some shots with this scout. Gambit youngsters are moving up through A long. And Config's going to look for some action here.
Might just get some as well if he goes for the peek. Manages to tag onto Shiro. Going to be spotted now, spamming away, but the Mac 10 closing the gap, takes him down. He's also done all that damage onto Shiro. He hits another tag onto Super, still alive. Config going absolutely mental. Let's see, we'll find 2 kills, a tag as well. His teammates now have to try and work with this. It's going to be difficult for them. However, Deagle's still in play. Rush goes 1 for 1. Still all to play for. Obo going to be smoked out, going to try and creep through it as they are planting the bomb, but not really committing, not feeling super confident about it. Oh, and Axile with the long-range mid-air headshot has just sealed the deal. Surely Obo has no chance.
Yeah, good effort from Config. Puts out a ton of damage from the site itself. But Obo's just going to be looking to see if there's any way in for him. And I think Gambit youngsters will just make sure they peek together. Okay, that came surprisingly close. But eventually, Inters lands the spray down successfully. Oh, Gambit youngsters not making it easy for themselves. But they get the round win. That's the main thing. And here are those shots again from Config. Just doing so much work from the site with the scout. He was the man that set them up in the first place to have a chance. Unfortunately, they can't turn it into a round win. Complexity now 2 rounds behind, but they finally got their buy on the board.
All right, we'll see what they've got. Fast out long from both teams. A perfect flash from Inters coming through. Poison is only able to get 1. All 3 long defenders fall. And the B-site boys have got to do something. They're pulling off a quick flank, but is it going to be enough? A 4 on 2. It's all fallen apart. Gambit youngsters up to 11. Possibly.
Yeah.
Should perhaps not speak too soon.
Yeah, they should be fine here. And man, if Complexity are going to struggle to hold A long, that could be a reoccurring issue for them throughout this half. Those fights did not look good for them. It looked like Gambit youngsters were the ones who were making the most of the flashes, making the most of the utility. I didn't really see much from Complexity in terms of their own counter nades being successful. And if you're going to fight for A long like that, you kind of need those flashbangs of your own to try and blind the Ts who are running into the open. Otherwise, the Ts are going to be happy to just swarm that position, fight you together. And as soon as Gambit youngsters commit to this A play, they will be winning this round. Complexity are nowhere near this. There are no players watching the cross. Blame F and Obo will have to try and save. And round by round, this is slowly slipping away from Complexity here. I think a timeout may be in order after this one, because 11-8 isn't the worst scoreline in the world. It's definitely able to be recovered for them, but it's not a comfortable position for them to be in. That's for certain.
Yeah, definitely, right? I think they seem to be back to their old selves on Vertigo, but it seems it's not quite worked for them, and it hasn't kept that way, which for me is kind of strange to see. Cannot lie, but here we are. I think they themselves, right? This is kind of part of the issue of maybe not being as prepared for Gambit youngsters as Gambit youngsters are for them. It's just the fact that I think they're surprised, right? And then that comes into it, the mental game. Mechanically, Complexity are a bad team, right? And structurally and everything, but I don't think that they're mentally ready, right? And it's affecting their game in a kind of negative way. For the most part, BlameF continues to just not care and frag out of his mind regardless of whether they win or lose or who they're playing against. So there's that at the very least, and despite that, despite having the second highest frag count, it is Axar with the highest, they're not able to find the rounds. Bit of a half buy coming in from the players that did not save here. Another fast long hit. This time they're a bit more ready. Rush with the 2k on the CZ. Gambit youngsters try to go for it again. Fool me once. And all the rest of it. Complexity have given themselves a fat lead into this round.
Yeah, you were talking about BlameF being top of the board, but he was at 17 kills at the half. He hasn't had a kill in the second half so far.
True.
That's got to change soon, and it might change in this round, because with the two-man lead and the rifles on some of their players, this is an excellent opportunity for Complexity. The adaptation works for them at A-Long. Rush is able to get up close and personal. And Poison looking for a fight down mid. These scout shots are always dangerous, and Shiro lands the shot with the AWP. I'm not sure Poison needed to keep on taking that fight there. He ends up losing his life because of it. And maybe that's the start of a way back into this round for Gambit youngsters. It's still going to be hard work for them, though. Complexity have got an AK into the hands of Rush. They've got rifles across the board now. So Gambit youngsters are going to have to work up against basically a full buy at this point. Complexity have got all the guns they need in their hands.
Definitely these kind of rounds, I think, where Complexity can be a bit looser, a bit faster with the pistols, right? We see Rush just not care about the utility, just rushes straight into them. Hard to avoid. But all the same, on towards B. Oboe, oh, great little angle here. Manages to get two. The third looking likely as well. He just taps away. They can't deal with him at all. Easy 3k coming in. And almost a bit too easy there for Complexity, despite the weakness of their initial buy.
This lineup from Oboe is just nice and precise at the end. Lands shot after shot. Those first two headshots were nice and quick on the kills. And Gambit youngsters have to take a time out of their own. It was looking like they were the ones in control on this second half, but out of nowhere, Complexity pick up a round win. Rush making a big play to get them started. And now Gambit youngsters are the ones who don't have much money in the bank. Complexity just got to save a bunch of guns here. So they've got loads of money left behind. They just saved 4 rifles, right? So they've got plenty of cash in the bank. Whereas Gambit youngsters are the ones who might have some economic issues. So a key round here for Gambit youngsters. A really important round in the context of this game. Let's see what they can do with it. They're going to go for those A-long fights yet again. It looks like they're going to try and take this.
Or enters.
Ooh, quick
manages to make it out. That nade does a fair amount of damage. However, yeah, they've capitalized beautifully here on the Gambit youngster side of things. Poison gonna get caught off. He still manages to survive, but only just. Playing with fire, gets taken down eventually. Inters is pretty low though, and yeah, eventually falls. So they have to answer back somehow. Shiro nice and quick though, gets the better of Config, but there is another player coming in from behind. The bomb's been planted. This round's all over. It's a 3 versus 3. Who's going to win it? I don't know.
Yeah, Intez does really well at just staying alive there. That's his job in that position. Just stay alive, keep the focus of Complexity, keep their attention on long. Poison gets caught rotating back around, and now Complexity don't have much time to work with on this retake. They've got to go now. Rush moving into the bomb site. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Axar's been forced forwards by the flames. He's got to fight his way out of this one, but he gets back to safety in time, and look at the time. It's so far gone. Complexity need to get on that bomb now. Smoke goes down. BlameF gets both those kills, but there's no time remaining. Gambit youngsters win the round. Complexity don't save a single gun. The money is going to be really interesting now, though, because look at Gambit youngsters. Their cash isn't actually that good because they all go down in that round.
Absolutely mental. Gambit youngsters getting it done, keeping it close, looking so good. We'll see whether they can keep it up. Oh my goodness, it is absolutely impossible to call at this point. And this kind of a round, it's a real weird one, right? Gambit youngsters, like you say, maybe finding themselves in a difficult situation. Flash going to come over middle, Config able to back away. But a little bit of control gained. Although about 40 seconds of the round gone and no ground made up by Gambit youngsters. Well, very little. They're trying to make short work here. So much return utility from Complexity, though.
Got to think that Poison would be favored on this angle with the AWP. He may be having a slow game, but with the AWP against either a Galil or a Scout, he should be able to win that fight if it comes his way. Depends on what nades Gambit youngsters decide to use, though, and a couple of them are going into CT. Blame F puts that molly down, though, so he can get out safely. He can get out behind this smoke and make sure that mid has been held. That's a big deal. That means that Complexity have the information that it's not the mid to B split right now.
30 seconds left. They've got to go for something here. They are indeed going to go for the mid to B. The smoke replenished. Oboe, though, at double doors, ready for it. Manages to find one config. One for wand. Is Oboe going to look to get aggressive and just keep them at bay, even if they go down, right? There's not an awful lot of time to work with here. They have made it onto B, though, via the tunnels. 10 seconds left. Plant will come in, but it's a super safe plant. Although, not yet. What's happened there? Inters, hello, not concentrated behind him, and Poison's able to pick up two. Oh, no, that's a bit awkward for Gambit youngsters. Complexity, though, bring it within two.
Yeah, Poison coming in with some impact as well. I was saying he was having a quiet game, but the AWP finally shines on through with a 3K. And the way the economy's working for Gambit youngsters right now is not great. They're going to have to force up, and it's only pistols to show for it. This is pretty much a full investment across the board, and it is far from perfect, far from ideal on the Gambit youngsters side of things. But who the hell knows? These pistols can sometimes do some crazy things. Plenty of Deegs in play for Gambit youngsters in this round. As it stands, Config is holding mid with the AWP, so that's something they need to be aware of. They don't have too many nades to deal with him. Molotov deployed by Config, but he's playing it safe. He doesn't want to give up his AWP too easily. Giving respect to Gambit youngsters, who will get themselves onto short safely. Again, not many nades here for the T's to work with, though. They've really just got a couple of smokes, a couple of flashes, and they'll probably try and just go for a fast play. Right now, though, the bomb is back over at B tunnels. This is going to get interesting.
Smoke's coming in. They're going to go for the CT drop here. And Nafany, oh, that's so awkward. The Tech 9 just not working, just not serving him. He's got to be so annoyed with that one. Poison, the luckiest son of a gun alive. Blame F, meanwhile, double spray down coming in. Config with the spin around, picks up Shiro. That's a nasty one for Gambit youngsters. A good couple opportunities to find some frags, but they just don't go their way. And now they're left with no real money to work with.
I'm not sure why we didn't get more of a commitment from those other players on short to going A. Like, imagine if he has some teammates to help him fight Poison there. He might just get that kill, but they might be able to sell the fake a bit better. But the players on short took way too long. Flame F can just spray them down. And yeah, full eco in this one for Gambit youngsters. Basically nothing to be done with the full Glocks. This is going to be an even scoreline unless something stupid happens. Don't let something stupid happen, Complexity. Please don't.
A round like this, I think. Oh, surely not. Config, though, misses his shot. Oh, Inches has gotten a kill. What is going on here? What is happening? Okay, cool. They're taking us back to normality. Bomb drop, Poison hitting shots. MP9 of Rush comes in. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And there we are,
I wouldn't mind if Gambit youngsters won this game. I just don't want them to win off a full Glock round, you know?
Yeah, that I don't think we could deal with.
You can be the best team in the world, and I'm never going to say you deserve to win a full Glock round.
Yeah.
Full guns now, though. No AWP for Shiro, but the AK's out. Another timeout for Gambit youngsters. This is where we'll get to see what they're going to do. They've been generally winning the fight on A long. I wonder if they go to that again. Shiro's got an okay long spawn, I think, on the T side. So that could be an option for them. I'm very interested to see what Complexity decide to do as well. in terms of fighting for long. Sometimes they've committed 3 players there. It's not gone their way. Sometimes they have been able to hold it. I think that A-long battle could be an interesting start to this round. And with the way that Gambit youngsters are looking right now, I am expecting some early long battles, because everyone's looking that way.
Indeed. Looks like that is going to be the case. Gambit youngsters going to try it again. It worked so successfully for them early on in this half. So much utility coming in. They have spotted Shiro making it to the blue bin. I believe double nades coming in. He manages to survive though. Tries to get out of there. Not going to happen. He will burn. Meanwhile, the rest of the boys have shaped back towards short. Poison has got other ideas. Unscopes at the worst time though. Nafany will take him down. It's still an advantage for Complexity, but a bomb plant at the very least for Gambit youngsters.
Complexity ran out of time previously on one of these retakes. They've got to go fast this time. They've got loads of nades. They can set up this retake. They can make sure to clear out some positions with the utility, but the main thing is worrying about the time and this flank from Axile. This could be very, very sneaky. Gambit youngsters staying on the site. Nafany goes down and Axile's flank. It's going to come through, but it's going to be way too late. And oh no, he doesn't get a single kill. Axile, wow, I don't know how he doesn't get that frag. I don't think he was going to win the round anyway with where the bomb was planted, but man, what a shot from Rush.
Yeah, Rush definitely turned it up the past few rounds. It's had a bit of a quiet series in terms of the frags. It's always difficult to tell, you know. I think he has, as I said, taken on a bit more of a supportive element in this team, so therefore I think his impact slightly underestimated if you just look at the raw numbers. Gambit youngsters though with the timeout. Last chance saloon here in this series, and they can feel it. It is so very close for them. At one point they had quite a hefty lead, 12-9 I believe, and they have not picked up a round for quite some time here. But yeah, definitely not looking good. Yeah, that is the case. It was a 12-9 scoreline. You need to get back on the board. It's a real hard way to do it in this round. I don't think it's quite going to happen. They have opted to go for the safe play and half buy into this, full buy into the next. So really taking it down to the wire here if they're to win it in regulation. Meanwhile, Complexity are hoping to clean up house.
Sitting behind this smoke. Oof, not any longer, he's not. Inters nails the headshot. Gambit youngsters continuing to show signs of life in this game, continuing to make life difficult for Complexity. That should be a recoverable rifle as well. Now that they've put this smoke down, they can move up into short, they can get the M4 into their hands, and Gambit youngsters have some nades to work with here as well. So recovering this gun, it gives them a pretty good chance. It's actually the AK as well, rather than the M4, excuse me. So that could really help them open up this round. Config has to be careful, backs away from the position. Rush is in the open, but he gets back to cover in time. And with 50 seconds left, Gambit youngsters are going to start using their nades towards A.
Go, see what they can get done. Flash is coming over the top, makes life difficult for Rush here. Isolated at Goose, 1-for-1 trade, beautiful stuff. Glock coming in from long. Ooh. Config is able to deal. It's a little panicked. He does take a tag, but the fact that he stays alive there is a little bit of a surprise. 3 versus 3 on the retake. 2 coming in from short, 1 at long, 2 AWPs. Actually, no, okay, they're going to wrap around to help each other out, all from long, and that kind of makes sense. The lineup almost there for Config. Unfortunately, not quite getting it. 2 AWPs in play, though. Like I say, going to be so difficult on the retake here. They go for the cross. Oh, and Inters peeks out at the right time. Double spray down coming in. Config's got to find them all. Can't do it. And Gambit youngsters even things back up, finally getting their foot back in the door.
Big round from Gambit youngsters to stop that win streak from Complexity. Lovely lineup from Inters. Again, Complexity having issues on these A retakes with the timings. Gambit youngsters do a good job at just delaying them as long as possible. And once they got that AK into their hands, they didn't look back. I love how Gambit youngsters sent that AK in seconds, sent that AK in to get the trade kill onto the bomb site. They used their nades wisely to make sure they could get the bomb down in a 3v3. And then from there, that setup to set up Inters for that double spray down was really, really nicely done. Gambit youngsters showing some high-level CS here, and they've got themselves back into this game. 13-13. anyone's game between these two teams right now. The pressure is really, really building for both these squads. Not many rounds left in regulation. Let's see what Gambit youngsters have up their sleeve this time round. Poison's going aggressive. He's really upped his game in these recent rounds on this AWP. He's landed plenty of shots, and he's got the chance to do so. Nice shot from Poison. He was thinking about backing away. He's hanging around for the time being, though.
Oh, big nade coming in as well, and he'll go for another peek. Does get taken down. Would have been insane if he found the third. Meanwhile, over a long rush, going to win that fight. A key fight to be winning as well. That would have evened things back up, but unfortunately for Gambit youngsters, not going to be the case. And now into a 4 versus 2. Gambit youngsters, fortunately, have had to hit the brakes, and it's going to be a bit difficult to get the car going again, I think. Config holding the crack angle here, creeping around, will manage to find the frag onto Inters. And Shiro will be the only player left. Spotted out, taken down. 14th coming in for Complexity.
Yeah, just as Gambit youngsters show us their signs of life in this map, Poison gets 2 really impressive kills up close. Went back for more. Shiro was able to trade him, but the rest of the Gambit youngsters squad unable to have a massive amount of impact. And the money here is not going to be ideal. Last timeout taken by Gambit youngsters ahead of this round. They know how important this is. They've got the AWP in the hands of Shiro. That's something to work with. Supra has an AK. Some of the other players are going to have to take sacrifices, though. They're either going to be missing nades or, more likely, they're going to be missing some weaponry. That's almost certain with the money they have remaining. Let's see what the last second buys are for the Gambit youngsters in this round. Deeg in the hands of Inters. They're actually keeping some money in the bank. They want to make sure they have some AKs in the next round, so it's only 2 primary weapons for Gambit youngsters to work with in this round. And if there was a time for one of Shiro or Supra to step up, this would be it.
Gonna have to as well. Do or die for Gambit youngsters. Nothing as yet. Very slow start to the round, of course. That is the Gambit youngsters' way. They're mainly grouped up outside of B. A bit of a boost up coming in, but nothing being found. A triple boost there, I think? Is that what I just saw? I think so.
I think if that was half a second sooner, they'd have caught Config as well, because he was jumping across the site. I like how Gambit youngsters are trying to set up Shiro here, trying to let him get an opening pick. That's what they need to be doing.
There's certainly one of the few ways I see them winning this round, right? Is at the very least him getting an opening pick or maybe a hero moment. Speaking of hero moments, Rush going to be holding a house. Flash going to come over the top. In just a second, they're all going to come bursting out. Doesn't blind him up at all. 1, 2, third as well. Oh no, not like this. Gambit youngsters falling to Rush, and Rush alone. He's not ready for the 5th man, but he has done his work for the round. Surely not from Shiro. 30 seconds left. Blinded up, taken down. 15th on the board. Map and match point for Complexity. They've only got 2 to work with, but after a round like that, how do you bounce back? Oh, and look at it. The first man, he checks the corner, but he's too wide. Not ready for the off angle.
Yeah, Rush had to step up there as well. He had to get multiple kills, because if he doesn't shut that down, then he's giving them an AK. So fair play to Rush, stepping up with the quad kill. Massive hold from him. Complexity just 1 round away from a spot in the grand final. 2 chances to take this one over the line, and Gambit youngsters don't quite have a full buy here. Shiro's had to go down to the scout. The rest of the team able to get the AKs, though. FlameF playing close at mid. Complexity have played with this same setup in the majority of these rounds. A 2-1-2 setup. It's been working well for them. They've been able to hold both of these bomb sites. Gambit youngsters haven't been going B too often in this game, though, and that could be about to change. Right now, they're going for their normal short control. Nafany will be making the call here. We'll be trying to figure out where he can get his team in, where they have a chance of winning the round over on the Gambit youngsters side of things. Very slow start to this round. You can feel how important this round is. You can tell that we are late in this game. We are deep in this series, deep in the playoffs of this semi-final. With 42 seconds left, there are still so many nades for Complexity. That's a big issue here for Gambit youngsters.
Start to move their way in. A CT drop, a little bit awkward. Yeah, I think Blame F has an idea. Oh, he's going to be able to see above it, I guess. Manages to find that frag. Yeah, there's a massive gap in it. There's more damage onto Shiro. So unfortunate. Shiro going to fall. Config as well, also chiming in with 2. In fact, despite being low, Inters to save the day. He will get a frag at the very least, but 10 seconds to go. No bomb. They just have to wait patiently. He's looking for more frags. It's going to be difficult for him. He does indeed take down Config, but there is no time. Poison will find the final frag, find the final round for Complexity. 16-13, though it's still awfully bloody closer. 2-1 as well. Absolute madness. Kudos to Gambit youngsters. And I believe we should be welcoming Tea Time to join us to help us out with that, because... You're right, mate. Are you with us? Are you okay?
I may be dead because I had at least 17 heart attacks that game. Hawker, Gambit youngsters was not supposed to get that close, but they brute forced their way to very much the finish line where they may have faltered. But man, oh man, Scriv was saying he'd be happy for them to get 10 rounds.
Yeah, they played well throughout this game. They won quite a few rounds that they really had to come up big to win. Quite a few low buys, a few clutches in there. I think that the one thing that was maybe missing was that really, really top-level performance from Shiro. I think the rest of the players were generally doing what you'd expect from them. Axile had some really good games throughout this series. He's definitely someone to watch out for. I think he's been finding his place in this Gambit youngsters team. And I think Complexity have got a whole lot more respect for Gambit youngsters now, because that was a really close series and a really close map at the end there.
I mean, they better have respect because it's very few teams who can take Complexity on their own map, big no less, and make Config look like he's an absolute fool in that map, because Mirage Config wasn't there. Scriv Config just wasn't there. Gambit completely shut him out, and I don't know how they managed to do that considering we were talking him up as much as we were.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't there is maybe a little bit of an understatement in a way as well, right? He's minus 10. He was 0.3 rating down from the next highest, right? He really did not have a good time at all. Yeah, and I think definitely making the difference, right? It's a really hard time for Complexity when Config is not on the map. Regardless whether he's firing on all cylinders and whether he's looking incredibly good, he's this super aggressive front-facing player, likes to get in your face, likes to normally shoot you in the face, but unfortunately it did not quite work out that way on Mirage. Definitely picked it up as the series went on, though, and I think maybe that might have been part of what they talked about in between maps, you know, or maybe internally, taking a minute, doing whatever it is, because then he flips it and goes straight to the top of the scoreboard by quite a good margin on Vertigo.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely. So, I mean, he really started to kill it over there. But Hawker, Blame F has to be the man of the hour and maybe even the man of the match, because it seemed like the in-game leader was able to come up every time they needed him to.
Yeah, he's again just consistently able to put up these numbers throughout the game. And I think, like we were pointing out throughout the game, that there aren't many highlight plays from him necessarily, but he's always there getting the kills that they need. Normally, he is definitely set up for success, but it's still impressive to be able to get the kills and get the frags so consistently, right? It's still a skill in itself. Even if you're set up for advantageous fights, you're not always going to be able to win them. But Blame F somehow does always win them, it seems. He always puts himself in a good position and then warrants himself putting himself in that good position. So it all adds up. Blame F, I think, was top fragging, I think, every map almost. It felt like, at least.
Except for the second one, where even there he was not too far behind Config. But listen, Blame F, hats off to him. But more than anything else, I would definitely like to give a very, very big round of applause to Gambit youngsters for taking it as far as they did. Let's take a look at the brackets where they have been eliminated from their home sweet home cup in the semifinals, but a performance that is absolutely worth applause. And you can see it right there, almost taking Complexity out of things. But now Complexity are facing off against Heroic. Now we have our finals decided. Now we know who is going to be going head to head. It's been the two teams we've all been waiting for all week long. It's been Heroic, the up and coming Danish superstars, and then it's Complexity, maybe a little bit of the old school Danish superstar and Config. Some maybe even more new blood in the fragging in-game leader in Blame F. You combine that with a little bit of dash of America, a dash of freedom, a dash of Texas and the Dallas Cowboys, and you never really know what this recipe will be leading to. But one thing is for sure, that next matchup is going to have an enormous amount of money on the line. $30,000 to go to the first place. $10,000 for second really isn't anywhere near as sweet, and neither is the prestige. Complexity fighting for the three-peat, fighting for that third championship. Heroic looking to add themselves to the name of teams who have managed to get to the champions of last week, to go up against the champions of the week before that and before that. So this should be a fantastic game. We'll be back very soon in just about 10 odd minutes. Make sure you tune in for that one, because that will be an absolute banger.